Like this is it. He is Mr. Actually, which is pretty awesome. He has to actually everything. Donald Trump will just come out and be like, I think Venezuela is woke and gay. That's why I invaded it, because I hate it. And also because I think they stole the election in 2020. And JD Vance has to be like, actually, the reason why we're invading Venezuela is because they're actually a narco trafficking hub, even though there's no evidence to suggest this. Piers Morgan, incredible operation. Maduro was protected by massive security. How Delta Force got him out will be the stuff of movies. Yeah, scoops from mainstream media. Venezuela's Maduro was captured by Delta Force, U.S. military's elite special mission unit. Sources tell me. It's so funny. It reminds me of, like, you know how people say stuff like, oh, dude, remember who you're fighting for? You know, that kind of thing. Remember who you're fighting for? And it's like the grunt and the helmet, and there's a photo inside of it. And it's just, inside of that photo should just be a photo of this, and then a photo of Jeffrey Epstein, and a photo of maybe Benjamin Netanyahu. You know, like, if you're in the Delta Force and you're like, hell yeah, brother, I trained my whole life so I can do hoorah shit, do cool ass military stuff like I watched in the movies. And then you take your helmet off and you look down at it, and it's just a photo of countries with the largest oil reserves. Remember who you're doing this for, okay? You are fighting for the bottom line of Exxon, Chevron, Shell Corporation, Halliburton, British Petroleum. You are fighting for them, okay? You're not fighting for yourself. You're not fighting for anybody. You're not fighting for freedom, democracy, any shit-ass liberal values that people actually use to. Yep, that's it. Yep, exactly. Never forget who you're fighting for, okay? Just remember that. You're fighting for this. You know, oh yeah, I watched Delta Force. I played all the video games. Oh, I'm so sick. Okay, cool. Livid. I mean, there's not really much one can do here. There's not really much one can say or do. What do you say? What do you do? America's on autopilot. That's just the reality. That's it. America's just on autopilot. It's like 70% of the country could be like, I don't want this to happen. And Trump will be like, nope, it's happening. And everyone thinks it's awesome. Great day to be an America First bootlegger who voted for the most Israel First admin that guts social programs, won't fix infrastructure, cuts tax for the super wealthy, and spends all of its money instead on Venezuela and stealing its oil for super profits of the pedophilic elite. I don't know why XQC is saying this, because he's already made a woke pivot. I'm a little bit confused by that, because although he did, hype up Donald Trump and stuff, he is making a woke pivot as of late. I mean, he was one of the only content creators I saw come out of the gates swinging against the Nick Shirley shit. Maybe he's laughing at Americans, probably, because I don't think XQC will defend the Trump administration all that much. So not sure what he means here. Probably making fun of Americans, which we deserve it. Let's be real. Maybe he's posting this Maoistly. Yeah, he's a Maoist third worldist. Saw that we're arguing with his audience for 3 hours on how dog shit the Nick Shirley video is, a professional contrarian. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I saw his Nick Shirley video. It was actually surprising. It was a breath of fresh air seeing it was actually a breath of fresh air seeing him say stuff like what if this is what I saw. This video is actually pretty solid. And I think he realizes that, the attitude has shifted. He's better at room reading than many others are. So great take from XC. Let's take a look.
That is not going to directly benefit us and our communities is absolutely insane.
Okay, well, I mean, okay, then your money's going to Israel. Does that not outrage you in any way, or what? Let's keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. So now what? By comparison, if you had $1 and you paid in taxes, let's give it a buck. 50 cents went to the army, 1 cent went to the Somali, you claim, and probably 30 cents went to Israel. Now what? Now what? But no, oh my God, guys, watch out, guys. The Somali man.
He's saying if you got $1, if you're from every $1 that you spend in your taxes, 1 cent went to like Somalis doing fraud with it, but 50 cents on the dollar went to Israel, and the rest of it went to the American military. Then who do you think is a bigger recipient, or who do you think is a bigger fraudster? Is it the random Somali guy that you suspect of doing fraud, or is it the nation state of Israel? And he's right. This is the correct attitude to have in this situation. I will, of course, go back to translating XQC Pepega speak now that he has decided that he's every now and then going to have some good takes, such as this one. But yeah, that's the situation. Overall, I know that for a lot of people, their only assessment of the world revolves around like what their least favorite content creator is saying and doing, right? Someone like myself, they'll be like, oh, does this trigger Hasan? Then it's probably a good thing. I just need you to understand this is not a moment where I'm like, oh my God, triggered or whatever. I'm just frustrated. I'm always frustrated. Nothing is going to change. But you have to understand why I'm frustrated, right? In your mind, you might assume that I'm frustrated because, oh, I had this like unlimited loyalty to Maduro, right? Or Maduro is a socialist, he's a communist. You're triggered because a communist is getting their comeuppance or whatever. No, I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. What I do care about is exactly what I'm saying, okay? As an American taxpayer, I want these taxes to actually fund the infrastructure. I want these taxes to fund our schools. I want these taxes to fund a robust welfare structure that actually helps regular ass Americans like many of you that are sitting in this chat who are excited at the prospect of getting an ownage on a epic own on a triggered libtard or whatever. Okay. And I believe that every single action that's taken, every time that we decide to send the military over there to bomb another country so that we can actually directly steal their natural resources, we're actually destabilizing the world pretty significantly. We're causing mass displacement to take place. We're actually making sure that everyone in the global south is constantly kept down. And on top of that, none of those profits are even coming back to your pockets anyway, right? All of that is directly going into the pockets of the super, super wealthy. But a lot of you, I think, have deluded yourselves into this false fantasy that as long as America is dominating other countries, it's kind of like I'm on that team and I'm dominating them too. You're not. You're actually being dominated pretty aggressively, and you will never really realize it unless you snap out of it, right? There's a reason why many people in the, America First contingency were saying, oh, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because he's the peace president, right? Kamala Harris is a Donald Trump is going to do peace. And obviously, Donald Trump was never going to do peace, as I said over and over again throughout the election cycle. And it was very frustrating because the Democrats didn't actually take a pro-peace position at all. They thought that they could outflank their Republicans on like hyper patriotism or whatever when they own that space in its entirety. Having said that, this is just pure. It's immoral. It's bullshit. But it's not even pure. That's actually going to line up your pockets. But at least, I guess, in the most pathetic way possible, you can feel like you're powerful because the American government is projecting power, right? I guess that's it. I guess that's what you can look forward to in your dog shit ass life.
Christ, man. My shit's not, my shit's cold in my room. Somali. Yo, my money, I'm not being paid a lot to my job. Somali, man.
How can you be so frustrated with your life of luxury and boundless happiness? You are not actually doing anything to change the world. You only bitch and bitch. This is true. And I always find this kind of commentary to be pretty funny because this is basically saying, brother, you're rich. Why don't you just go do rich guy stuff? Why don't you go invest in Lockheed Martin stocks? Why don't you go invest in ExxonMobil stocks and just keep collecting cash? You already won. You could do capital accumulation. Why don't you go join of the actual elite instead of consistently advocating against them? Now, instead of realizing that maybe it's because this is just my worldview and I think that we could do better, a better future is possible, better redistributive policies are possible, and that I will continuously, stubbornly defend those principles, you just don't understand it. You're like, why don't you just do the same thing that, Richard Branson is doing? And I find it very strange. You have no money, okay? You got no bitches. You got no capital. You're defending capitalism. You're defending American imperialism. You're not even getting any of the super profits. So why the fuck are you defending that? At least if I'm a class trader, I'm taking an honorable stance here. You are a class trader, and it's actually against your best interest. No, I say you don't done nothing but bitch. Go help people. Go feed the poor. Go help people who need help. Okay, I am doing that, but that's besides the point. You're just mad that I'm talking. Okay, you're mad that I'm criticizing America in this moment. So you have to be like, no, you. And it's partially because I'll keep it a buck. It's partially because I'm accessible and the American president and the pedophilic elite are not accessible. So in your mind, it's probably much easier to just like go chirp in the chat of a Twitch streamer who ultimately has no power, but at least with the marginal amount of influence he has is trying to do what is best, right? Trying to organize people, trying to push people in the right direction, trying to do broad awareness, you know? But that's it. If I'm doing nothing, what the f are you doing? All you're doing is yelling in a Twitch chat. All you're doing is typing in a Twitch chat at the end of the day. And the reason why you're doing that is because you can't actually break through to any of these actual people with positions of power. So in your mind, you have to turn around and make me seem to be like this most powerful person in your life. That's it. U.S. wimped out on a land war in Europe and 2-decade hostile posture towards China so we could return to his pastime of brutalizing Latin America. I know American imperial hegemony appears as unchecked as ever, but this behavior of a power in decline, looking for weaker and weaker opponents to beat up in lieu of any other national project, I mean, that's precisely what's going on here. Yeah, it is pretty funny to watch people do this thing, though. Like, I'm just sick. America's one of the most disgusting countries in all of human history. Move there, then busta. What? Saying you don't actually like America's unimaginably violent actions overseas means that you should go and like live under the bombing campaign is such a strange argument. It's not an argument at all. And I assume that this GIF that he was posting was actually just a GIF of how he's feeling at this very moment when he typed this, rather than saying that Anthony Fantano is stupid. You know, I'm confused by this, but he has made a woke pivot on some things, but I guess not on this one. But maybe he'll download the correct talking points in a little bit. I suspect that the correct talking points would be downloaded once he watches, like, I don't know, the last Destiny video or something. And then, you know, whatever position he takes, XQC will try to also repeat. But I'm here for it when he takes the woke position every now and then. Bro, does bro think Canada is safe? The Yakubian audacity. Professional contrarian, when it becomes popular, he will go against it or when D tells him what to think. Yeah. Not that it matters. Why the fuck are we talking about what XQC has to say about anything? Is this how far we have devolved? The answer, I guess, is yes. It is how far we have devolved. This is kind of, you know, this is kind of the way we operate, I guess. It's pretty funny that the American government is not even like giving us the dignity of lying nowadays. That's pretty, I find that very interesting. Like they didn't even try to put out like a strong propaganda front to be like, this is why we have to do it. You know, they didn't even manufacture consent. They were just like, oh, you guys hate this? Well, guess what? We're going to do it anyway. Suck my dick. And plenty of people will look at that and go, no, we'll suck your dick, sir, Mr. President. We love that you are so powerful. We love that you make us feel powerful, because that's where we're at nowadays. I think it's just like people want soothing, right? I think people are desperate to feel like they have any sort of control in their lives, any sort of power in their lives. And I guess American militancy, American adventurism, the American empire projecting its strength, even though it's literally dying. And these are the dying gasps of a dying empire. And many people don't realize it. Will make them feel a little bit better about their current position, their current conditions. But here is JD Vance, everyone's least favorite vice president, saying, the president offered multiple off-ramps, but was very clear throughout this process. The drug trafficking must stop. I love that one. Hey, drug trafficking. Okay. There you go. I love that. This is cool. It's cool. He's like, he's doing the actually all the time. Like this is it. He is Mr. actually, which is pretty awesome. He has to actually everything. Donald Trump will just come out and be like, I think Venezuela is woke and gay. That's why I invaded it, because I hate it. And also because I think they stole the election in 2020. And JD Vance has to be like, actually, the reason why we're invading Venezuela is because they're actually a narco trafficking hub, even though there's no evidence to suggest this. And no one is really even trying to fake evidence to make it seem like that's really the case. You know, Bernie's statement, let me hear it. Let's see. He's going to say something shitty about Maduro. Oh, wow. He doesn't, it seems. Donald Trump has once again shown his contempt for the Constitution and the rule of law. The president of the United States does not have the right to unilaterally take this country to war, even against a corrupt and, oh, no, he is saying corrupt and brutal dictator Maduro. Okay. I need you guys to understand something. Okay. I don't give a how dog shit Maduro is. I need to make this very clear. Okay. The moment that you turn around and you go, oh, well, it's a corrupt and, tyrannic rule of Maduro. Brother, we're the American government. Do you understand how much more corrupt and tyrannical we are? Even just by like our unlimited allegiance to Israel, right? Like, what are we talking about here? If we're looking at like, if we're looking at pound for pound, like corruption and tyranny, I mean, the very fact that we just kidnapped the head of a state, that's insane. We just kidnapped the head of a foreign nation state, brother. That's like, you're trying to be like, oh, Maduro is really repressive against like student protesters. He's like killing protesters, right? Like, it's like, oh, wow, I can't believe he's doing that. Is that up? Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. What we do is infinitely worse, even in this argument. And when you bring shit like that up, all you're doing is basically get people to read that and go, okay, if he's actually a corrupt and brutal dictator, why should I feel bad that Donald Trump arrested him? Because the reality of the matter is, why should you feel bad? Right? Why should you even remotely feel bad? Why? Because you care about like process? Really? That's the reason why we're against intervention in Venezuela, because process was not applied? It's stupid. And this is exactly why Trump wins on these arguments, right? Because liberals don't ever talk about this from the perspective of like the average American. They never talk about this like, what the fuck are we bombing Venezuela, dude? What? Fix the potholes, Why are we bombing Venezuela? Give us free healthcare. Spend the money on something good, right? Instead of making sure that Exxon generates higher profits next quarter. Like, this is unacceptable. That's all you need to say. You don't need to do this like, oh, Donald Trump is not following the legal process here. That's all. If this is the best we have on the Democratic Party, we're cooked. That's it. The president of the United States does not have the right to unilaterally take this country to war, even against a corrupt and brutal dictator like Maduro. The United States does not have the right, as Trump stated this morning, to run Venezuela. Congress must immediately pass a war powers resolution to end this illegal military operation and reassert its constitutional responsibilities. I mean, the rest of this stuff is good, right? Trump's attack on Venezuela will make the United States and the world less safe. It's true. This brazen violation of international law gives a green light to any nation on earth that may wish to attack another country to seize their resources, to change their governments. Also true. This horrific logic of force that Putin used to justify his brutal attack on Ukraine. Also true. Trump and his administration have often said they want to revive the Monroe Doctrine, claiming that the United States has the right to dominate the affairs of the hemisphere. I mean, we kind of haven't really let go of that principle, if we're being real. Maybe we've just like escalated it a little bit more, but they've spoken openly about controlling Venezuela's oil reserves, the largest in the world. This is rank imperialism. It recalls the darkest chapters of U.S. interventions in Latin America, which have left a terrible legacy. It will and should be condemned by the democratic world. It won't be condemned by the democratic world. It won't be. Europe is comprised of cucks. I'm sorry to say this. I apologize to the European chatters in here that know this reality. I hate to say it. I mean, obviously, we're Americans, right? We're doing the evil here. But the reality of the matter is European leadership is unimaginably cucked. And I think savvy fascists will take advantage of that, even though they will also be cucked to American interests, but they will at least position themselves as not being cucked a little bit while simultaneously being like pro-MAGA, which is this weird thing that I'm seeing from the Le Pens of the world, right? On the one hand, they try to talk like they want separation from, the corrupt bureaucracy of the European Union, while on the other hand, they will literally be pro-NATO down to the fucking last breath, right? Yeah, the Meloni method. They will follow the Giorgia Meloni method, as she very clearly did. Taking somewhat of an anti-NATO stance, taking an anti-European Union stance, only to be the loudest advocate for EU and NATO, but just making the country more right-wing in general in its domestic affairs. This is funny. If we leave dictators like Maduro unchecked, we will pay the price down the line. Do we really want an egomaniac like that in the Western Hemisphere? I've also heard that Maduro might have actually been hanging out with elite pedophiles, okay? We can't let that stand. What if he begins bombing civilian vessels in our ocean or invades or abducts our president with no approval from his voters or government? This is scary behavior beyond what we could ever accept. I agree, chatter. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah. What if there was a country in the Western Hemisphere led by a corrupt psychopath who was just bombing civilian ships? Also, that's the joke. The chatter is doing a joke. For those of you who don't understand, this is a joke. He's saying the things that we have done. Is the Turkish government also cucks like EU? Oh my God. Oh my God. The Turkish government is an even bigger cuck than the European Union. Well, you know, yes, they are. Yes. Nicholas, breaking. Deposed Venezuelan leader Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, will face charges after an indictment. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi says one of the charges is him having a gun, by the way, I think. Is that real? I can't tell if that's fucking fake or not. Like I heard, it's like dumb shit. Where is it? Yeah, Felix says, Nicolas Maduro, you are under arrest for having consensual sex with an adult woman. May God have mercy on your soul, you sick bastard. It's not. It's to do with his possession and intent to supply narcos. Yeah, the very real narco terrorists. Oh shit. I didn't realize. Oh, I love this fucking country, man. What a dumb fucking nation state this is. Bro, now defending dictators law. Oh my God. Oh, it's awesome. You're right. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. You got me. Dude, the mind of the Western chauvinist is just filled to the brim with holes, right? Like dictators. Oh my God, I can't believe you're defending dictators. That's awesome. Like, brother, as far as like awful shit that any leader has done, right? Do you feel like what Maduro has done so far reaches even the standard of what Donald Trump just did? Like just today, literally just last night, what you experienced last night, what you saw last night. Anyway, I don't disagree with your take, but it makes me wonder, do you think there's ever a point where invasion is justifiable? Yes, Israel. It'll never happen though, because it's a nuclear armed nation state and also an extension of America. Yeah. It's also pretty funny because like even the Trump administration didn't try to present that argument. Really? Like they didn't even do that. They didn't even do that like liberal shit. You know, oh, we're actually doing this to save the Venezuelans. Like they just straight up were like, I want the oil. You have oil, it's mine. And there are still people that are trying to do propaganda after the fact when the administration is not even doing it. The administration is like, we're pirates. You have bounty. We will plunder. We will rape. We will pillage. And there are still people in the chat being like, no, you don't understand actually. They're doing this to save. They're doing this to save Venezuelan democracy. It's like, who is this for? Is this for yourself? Do you think someone is going to hear your statement in this chat and go, you know what? Even though the American government that I do not trust any longer to have my best interest in mind has openly stated their desire for why they're bombing Venezuela and kidnapping Maduro is actually just to literally rape Venezuela, I'm going to still assume that there is some decent purpose here, some honorable purpose here. At what point will people go, yeah, maybe America doesn't really care about installing democracy elsewhere and simply installing puppet leadership so they can keep, farming they can keep unlawfully extracting all the natural resources from the global south. And it won't even actually return with redistributive policies into the pockets of the average citizen either. It'll just go to a handful of elite pedophiles. It's pretty cool. Nah, keep assuming that the American government is actually doing world police shit. Here's the new president of Venezuela.
30 million.
CNN's Aaron Burnett cheerfully announced that Venezuela and its people are owned by the United States.
Matter. Venezuela has a population of 30 million people, and now that is owned by the United States. Just to think about it from such a simple black and white set of numbers like that, matter. Venezuela.
Fucking awesome. A large portion of American incels like the LARP as Vikings while simultaneously never leaving their house. Those cucks love this. Oh, for sure. Yeah. Pam Bondi, indicted for possessions of machine guns. Yeah. It's pretty funny because what do you call it? Donald Trump last month pardoned an actual cocaine kingpin who was an actual leader of a foreign nation state who actually went through the legal process and was found to be guilty in trafficking tons of cocaine into the United States of America. So this actually makes the situation even funnier because once again, my GOAT, Donald Trump, he is so good with this, okay? He will literally be like, I'm pardoning every, I don't know, major fucking fraudster while simultaneously putting the beat on every Somali person and assuming that every Somali person is actually defrauding the Medicare system or something. Well, literally openly pardoning people who have stolen billions from like Medicaid or Medicare, right? It's pretty funny. He'll just literally do one thing and then claim that he's actually fighting against that thing by putting the crosshairs on a totally separate enemy. Yeah. None of this is credible when you remember that Trump pardoned former Honduran president and convicted drug trafficker Juan Orlando Hernandez. It was never about drugs. It's U.S. imperialism manifest. And it's kind of funny because Donald Trump is basically saying that too, right? It's not like he's hiding it. He is kind of open about it, which makes this really funny because like then you see liberals try to defend this somehow on like liberal grounds, America World Police grounds and shit like that. And it's like, who is this propaganda for? Is it for you? Do you want to feel comfortable with this kind of thing? Is that why you're like, no, Mr. President? It's kind, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Alex Jones Kanye West conversation where Kanye West was like, I love Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler invented the microphone. And Alex Jones was like, no, you're not supposed to say it like that. You're supposed to say like, no, you hate, you don't hate Jews, right? You don't hate Jews. Like you're just skeptical. You're just skeptical of the globalist elite, right? And Kanye was like, nah, I just hate the Jews and hate Kanye West. I hate Adolf. I love Adolf Hitler, hate Benjamin Netanyahu, all this stuff, right? And it's kind of like that with liberals, where it feels to me like the liberals are just basically going, no, you're actually doing this for world police stuff, right? You're doing this because you're the world police and you're installing democracy in Venezuela, right? And the Trump administration is like, nah, not really. I just want the gold. I just want the oil. I want the land. I want to rape and pillage. I'm bored. I want to rape and pillage because I'm bored. And liberals are like, no. You don't understand. The dominoes will fall about the dangers of socialism. Everyone will learn about the dangers of socialism if we actually, dethrone this corrupt autocratic dictator, right? And Trump still turns around and is like, nah. Like, he might as well openly come out and be like, you guys were talking too much about my best friend who recently passed away, Jeffrey Epstein, and I did this because I really was talking about that no more. And liberals would still be like, actually, this intervention was justifiable because the people of Venezuela have spoken. Donald Trump could literally come out and be like, I'm doing this because I love Jeffrey Epstein and I'm sad. I'm sad. I'm suffering from my best friend's death, okay? My best friend's untimely demise really hurt me in ways that you cannot comprehend. And I also want the oil and I also want the gold, okay? And this is just how I grieve. And liberals will still find a way to try to defend it. Lulu Navarro says, I covered Venezuela since the Chavez era. The real issue is the paramilitary gangs controlled by the regime and the Cuban intelligence operation that's all over Venezuela. What comes next, of course, is the real challenge. The New York Times chimes in. The real problem is Cuba. Yeah. Here's what the real problem is. Not illegally deciding to implement phony charges unilaterally and kidnapping the head of a fucking foreign nation state overnight while bombing foreign soil without following any process whatsoever, single-handedly doing all this while openly admitting that you're doing this so that your best friends, so that your fucking best friends can make money. Why did you unfollowed Mamdani? Wait, what? No, I didn't. What? Anyway, why am I looking at chat? What is this? Your boy Zoran Mossadini going off script. I was briefed this morning on the U.S. military capture of Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro and his wife, as well as their planned imprisonment in federal custody here in New York City. Unilaterally attacking a sovereign nation is an act of war and a violation of federal and international law. This blatant pursuing of regime change doesn't just affect those abroad. It directly impacts New Yorkers, including tens of thousands of Venezuelans who call the city home. My focus is their safety and the safety of every New Yorker, and my administration will continue to monitor the situation and issue relevant guidance. Okay, surprising. I mean, that's not bad. He didn't say like Maduro is a corrupt tyrant or whatever. You know, why is that surprising? Well, the reason why that's surprising is because he was interviewed by, what do you call it? What's his name? He was interviewed like a week before the election. Do you like Maduro? I don't care. Like my opinion or my dislike for Maduro is not pertinent to this conversation. You know what I mean? Yeah, it was Juan Pablo Ramos, I think, where he was like, Maduro is a fucking brutal tyrant dictator, and the president of Cuba is too. Like, he was saying some shit like that. And I think bringing any of that stuff up or saying anything like that is just so silly, so dumb, so stupid. Like, do you guys understand why it's not relevant to this conversation? Like, my own personal criticisms of Maduro or whatever is not relevant to this conversation. It's kind of like the but Hamas equation, right? Israel will be doing a genocide, and people will be like, well, what about your criticisms of Hamas? It's like, bro, they're being genocided. You know what I mean? It's like, what are your opinions on Maduro? I don't know. He shouldn't be fucking kidnapped. How about that? That's my opinion on Maduro. That's the only one that matters. There's no reason to be like, I don't like the way that he repressed a protest in his country, or I don't like the way he mismanaged the Venezuelan currency. Like, what difference does that make? Do you think that plays a role in why America fucking kidnapped them? No. So it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And that's why when people say like, well, actually, Venezuelans are celebrating, it's like, well, okay, it still doesn't fucking matter. That doesn't matter at all. Let's see what my goat, Chris Goat Holland, had to say. He usually has some good takes here. Trump and his cronies try to dress this up, but it's an illegal act of war to replace Maduro and grab Venezuela's oil for his billionaire buddies. Good take. The American people did not ask for this act of war to bring about regime change in Venezuela, nor did Congress authorize it. President Trump has put our troops in harm's way, and he has not provided a clear fact-based rationale for these actions, nor the long-term strategy following these strikes. This administration owes the American people and the Congress. I don't really like this part. No, because like I don't think it's a process issue, right? I don't think like if they were to, you're taking Zoran out of context. What do you mean there isn't? It was a quote. What do you mean there isn't space to talk about it? Wait, what? I don't know what you're referencing. Be honest. Would you be mad if China kidnapped Trump and instituted a Chinese puppet state that promulgated socialism with Chinese characteristics in the United States of America? No, I don't think that would be appropriate. I don't think that would be good. Let's be real. Okay, if you want my joke answer, the joke answer is yes, Mr. President, please, Dongfang missiles now, right? But the serious answer is no. Obviously, it's not the right. It's not the right thing to do, and it won't be good either. Okay? It won't. It just won't. Countries need to develop organic movements. And if there is like, some kind of material support on ideological grounds, that's one thing, right? But you still need to have like a real interest, a real investment from the peoples of the nation state to develop some semblance of a sovereign socialist movement. You're so fake. It's not. I'm just being real. It's because Chinese style socialism after a kidnapping of Donald Trump and a puppet state being implemented would never be defended. Americans would lose their fucking minds, understandably. It wouldn't be successful, you know? It just wouldn't. There'd be tremendous blowback. It just wouldn't work. It would be disastrous. One of the biggest L recipients here has been Machado. Anyway, let's keep reading. This administration owes the American people and Congress immediate answers. This act of war is a grave abuse of power by the president. The Trump administration is repeating the worst mistakes of our past and endangering American lives. And their motive for doing so is a farce. Trump sees Maduro and his wife just weeks after he pardoned former Honduran president. Yes, that's a good line. And notorious convicted drug kingpin Juan Orlando Hernandez. Maduro's a dictator, but his regime did not pose the immediate threat necessary to warrant U.S. military action on foreign soil without congressional approval. This is not about demolishing a dictatorship, as we've seen Trump cozy up to dictators around the world. This is about trying to grab Venezuela's oil for Trump's billionaire buddies. Congress must abdicate its constitutional authority and allow control of the world's most powerful military to fall into just one set of hands. I mean, it's not the best, but it's fine. I mean, it's good. It's a good take. Also, Trump is more unpopular than ever. So if he got kidnapped and disappeared, Americans will celebrate. So does that make it okay? No, that's what I'm saying. That kind of intervention, well, would never happen with America anyway. Hasan hates Zoran now? No, what? No, I don't. What are you talking about? They're already spinning the narrative that all Venezuelans are happy. Yeah, I mean, they did the spin in Iraq as well. I mean, that's why that's where they will welcome us as liberators come from, you know? That's unironically where it comes from. Do you see what I mean? The they will welcome us as liberators is a statement from Iraq. That was at a time when the American government was actively trying to propagandize a lot better than this one certainly is doing. It was trying to touch on the cultural attitudes of like, you know, the white savior complex that liberals have. Yeah, Donald Rumsfeld said it. George W. Bush said it. And they also showed the toppling of the statue of Saddam, right? That was like a big deal. They were like, see, this is working. This is working so well. This is working so good. And of course, what ended up happening in the aftermath of that was obviously fucking 20 years of rape, pillage, death, destruction, a torture regime, and just awful. Just overall pain and a power vacuum that came from that led to the creation of ISIS as well, and numerous other issues such as that one that still plague even the Western world and certainly is a massive issue in the Middle East. So I guess like the only aspect of this that I think is more redeemable in comparison to George W. Bush is that at least they didn't do a shock and awe and full-blown invasion. And instead they did a kidnapping, I guess, if you want to look at it from like the lesser of two evils perspective. But of course, for me, how about no evil, right? But I do think, okay, why'd you get frustrated whenever people mention that Maduro's a dictator? Because it just gives righteous cause to Trump. Because Americans hear that and they go, okay, so why should I care that a dictator got kidnapped? The fuck? That's why. That's number one. Number two, as far as like the shit that Maduro has done, right? Okay. Our fucking leadership, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, like they've done a metric ton worse shit than Maduro, right? Does that mean that they get assassinated, they get kidnapped? Like, what are we talking? Obviously, that will never happen because America's the hegemonic superpower. But, you know, the notion that like those guys are dictators, but we have process is fucking idiotic. Well, Venezuela isn't overrun with Muslim extremists, so maybe it'll be different this time. Brother, if you think that the reason, first of all, you think what you consider Muslim extremism, do you think it happened because we have consistently destroyed the Middle East and consistently destabilized the region? Or do you think it's because they're just barbaric, backwards people and the Quran made them so violent? Like, which one do you think it is? It's kind of a matter of timing. Yeah, Maduro's a dictator, but when a guy gets shot, you don't pull up his criminal record and the condolences, Lamau. Yeah, it's part of that. But also, it's like the person, when people do that, right? Actually, police brutality is a great example of this. When people do that, when they talk about like, well, look at the criminal, you know, look at the track record of this guy. That's the reason why he got shot. Everybody understands like you're saying that because you're giving credence to why this person got shot, right? And that's the same principle here as well. Not to say that like Maduro is good or whatever, but it's just not relevant to the conversation. You know, if Maduro is bad, then Donald Trump is worse by a million fucking times, including because of what he just did to a leader of a foreign nation. And that's it. Like, it's not even comparable, you know? It's not even on the same playing field. Do you think this ended with one strike and kidnapping, which are illegal, or it will be indeed another Iraq war? I don't know. I don't think so, but we shall see because it's entirely dependent on what the transition looks like. Okay? If the if the transition that comes about is actually with like party hardliners and you're just lying. Wait, what? Backwards, no morals, you're just lying. No morals. I think a lot of people don't understand something about my commentary. I am immoral, okay? I'm immoral in the sense that I don't fucking scream about America being the great Satan every day. Because like the ultimate black and white morality in this situation would cause you to recognize that America is basically the fucking the Fifth Reich with nuclear arms and has been able to dominate the entire planet. If you actually were moral, you would be like anyone and everyone that fights against America, whether it be the devil or not, is still somehow on the right side because of all of the fucking violence that we're dishing out around the globe. So you're right. I am immoral in the sense that I live in America and I do greatly, I do act as though there is something salvageable here. I'm not immoral in the sense that in the way that you think I am, right? I'm immoral in a different way. I'm immoral with any kind of fucking credence that I give to being able to salvage American democracy or whatever. That's the actual immorality. Let's be real, you know? It is also kind of shocking that we were able to do, Panama Noriega shit to a nation state with like 30 million people in it. But I guess it is what it is. I like this chill version of Hasan. Mr. President, do you have a New Year's resolution? Peace on earth is awesome.
Mr. President, do you have a New Year's resolution? I have. Peace.
Like, is there anything that this guy says that's like valid or truthful? Does like, I also don't understand it because like on the one hand, people will be like, yeah, this guy might be a pedophile. Yeah, this guy is like a bloodthirsty monster. But at least in this circumstance, he's doing right. Like, what leads you to believe that? Genuinely, what leads you to believe that this man that has lied about every single thing actually got this individual thing right? Yeah, he meant peace on earth. We're taking a piece of everything on earth. That's what he meant.
Of the location of opposition leader Machado, and have you been in contact?
This part was really funny. Major L for Machado, because she basically ran around being like, am Israel high. I love Israel. I'm going to put the Venezuelan embassy in Jerusalem. And also, please come to my country, bomb every fisherman you can. And also on top of that, I will literally give you every piece of natural resource that Venezuela owns for free if you let me be the leader. And then Trump just comes out and goes, nah, she's unreliable. That woman, she stole my Nobel Peace Prize. I hate her. Also, she's a woman. You know how they are. They're unreliable. They're unstable. What if she gets her period? And just cuts her off. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy, dude. President is rug pulling Maria Machado now. Oh, my Lord.
Aware of the location of opposition leader Machado.
To be fair, the VP is also a woman, but I guess the VP is like, the reason why I said this could be potentially like a deal with Russia is because it's not lost on me that the vice president of Venezuela was literally in Russia when this happened, and Donald Trump is Donald Trump is saying like, oh no, Machado can't really do Machado is not popular.
And have you been in contact with her?
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
Mr. President, on Monday.
Oh, I think it would be very. She doesn't have the support within or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect.
She's in Russia? No, Machado's not in Russia. Machado is the Nobel Peace Prize recipient. That's like the Western puppet. And I think the VP might be a Russian puppet potentially, or at least like aligned with Russia. And that's fake, by the way. Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs disproved. Wait, what do you mean? He's talking about the VP being in Russia, but those are rumors. No. He's talking about Machado.
Mr. President, on Monday.
Oh, I think it would be very tough.
Machado's not the VP. This might be a noticing moment, but I suspect what comes next will heavily feature Minister of Defense Vladimir Padrino Lopez. He's indicted by the U.S., but he's also the head of security forces, which will have to align with what comes next, and most notably was a School of America's graduate. Don Roe doctrine is imperialism, but in a misogynist way. The VP is not in Russia? Okay. Were officials from China really in Venezuela when all this took place? So what I thought was really interesting was the Chinese element in this story. Telesur claimed that the VP is not in Russia, as some outlets claimed. Okay. What I found really interesting was that there was a Chinese special envoy that landed in Venezuela 2 days ago. Okay. And one of the things that they were talking about was obviously this, right? Like American intervention in Venezuela. And what I find really interesting about that, part of the equation is like doing this as the Chinese envoys are there. Okay. That's not, that's giving the game away. Is basically like saying, we don't respect China at all. Like we will actually do this kind of fuck shit. And this is about decoupling Venezuela by force from China. It's a flex on Russia. It's a flex on China, unless it's actually a deal being cut with Russia. Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez is in Russia. Four sources familiar with her movement said on Saturday her brother Jorge Rodriguez, the head of the National Assembly, is in Caracas. This is where I got this information from. But now Telesur is saying that's not the case. USA has to have a power structure set up to replace Maduro, which means they've compromised a significant portion of the government, either with Russia or Venezuelans. Yeah. If they've actually gotten... So Russia obviously has a significant influence in Venezuela for obvious reasons. They're a part of the foreign adversary unit. So either they did a separate deal with Russia and said, all right, we're going to put your guys in charge of Venezuela. You can, keep, but you're going to give us a favorable deal on the oil extraction and shit like that. And we're taking out Maduro. And in exchange for that, or like you're going to put our guys, you're going to put our guy in charge of Venezuela. But in exchange for that, you get to have Ukraine, you get to do whatever you want with Ukraine. You could use it like a fleshlight if you want. Or this is also an anti-Russian action as well. I do suspect that they could have done something where they're just kind of like, there's a development of a new attitude in the State Department now that I joked about when Vivek Ramaswamy was one of the first like major Republican politicians that talked about it. And I feel like that attitude is becoming more real now in terms of our foreign policy. And that attitude is prioritizing China. Okay. Drop this Russia stuff, prioritize China. All systems go against China. I think that's kind of where we're heading towards. Do you think you have to become dumber as you spent your roaring 20s? Do you think you have become dumber as you spent your roaring 20s covering politics? Grift goo? I hope so, because I think being stupid is a superpower, especially in this day and age. So I hope that like I gave myself at least some level of permanent or temporary brain damage so I can do commentary in a way that is more effective to the masses. I genuinely, because like being stupid and lying confidently is so OP in this media environment that I don't really see that as a diss at all. Like when someone's like, "Oh, you're stupid," I'm like, "Thank you for saying that." That means that like more people will be convinced by what I have to say. How is going all in against China going to go, considering people are more China-pilled than ever before? I mean, that kind of stuff obviously doesn't matter. 70% of the country did not want any intervention in Venezuela at all. And Donald Trump didn't stop himself from doing this. He still did it. The question you always have to ask yourself, as I keep repeating over and over again, is how does this make my groceries cheaper? How does this make my rent cheaper? If the answer is it doesn't, then Donald Trump is doing this for his buddies. Okay? That's it. And that's where we're at. So enjoy the show. You might as well, right? Because it's completely out of our hands. There's not really a Democrat. And I think a lot of people that are posturing as though there is one are just kind of, doing their due diligence playing their role. But at the end of the day, America's going to do whatever the fuck America wants to do. The government's going to do whatever it wants to do. And that's where we're at. We got a hog. Hasan, where are you from? Let's talk about the politics of your country. You can talk about the U.S., right? Let's yawk about your country. Where are you from? I'm an American. I'm an American citizen. I live in Los Angeles, California. I don't know if you knew that. Do you think I'm not in the United States of America or something? What's happening? Anyway, what's so fucked up about this, though, is that it very well may make our gas cheaper. That alone will sway much of his base. I don't think making the gas cheaper is necessarily going to help. And I don't even think it's going to make the gas cheaper. If anything, it's going to allow the oil and gas companies that will be extracting the heavy crude and refining it to sell it to China and to sell it to Canada, and not to like make your gas cheaper. When the fuck have we actually stabilized gas prices in this country by opening up new refineries? That doesn't work that way. The fuck? OPEC is still a cartel. No, they're just going to take the gas. They're going to take the oil and gas and sell it to foreign markets and use it as a leverage point against Canada if they see fit, and use it as a leverage point against China if they see fit. But in the interim, before they ever decide to use it as a leverage point, they will most likely just generate more super profits off of it. And that's what this is. That's it. It's not for you. And if you think it's for you, you're kind of stupid. I'm not going to lie. Okay? No, Hasan, you don't understand. With Venezuelan oil, when they build a data center down the street from my house, my energy prices will only triple instead of quadruple. Yeah, that too. So that's where we're at. Where are you from? It's such a dumb way to cope with the shit going on in the States right now. I know. It's the rallying cry of stupids. Anyway, Congressman Rashid Tlaib says Trump's illegal and unprovoked bombing of Venezuela and kidnapping of its president are grave violations of international law and the U.S. Constitution. These are actions of a rogue state. The American people do not want another regime change war abroad. Let's go. Simple, easy to understand, and correct. That's all you need to say. No like posturing, no like, oh, they're not following process. That's it. No equivocation, no justification for like any of this stuff, right? Just straight up be like, this is fucking insane. This is criminal shit. You're behaving like a madman. You're violent. You're irrational. You're behaving like a fucking madman. This is my first live stream, being live for a stream for war crimes. Oh, get ready. There will be a lot more of that. So let's get to it. Let's take a look at what our propaganda apparatus is saying in this moment of incredible crimes taking place.
This morning, the United States launching an extraordinary nighttime attack on Venezuela. Dramatic video capturing the U.S. strikes overnight. Explosions ringing out in Venezuela's capital city beginning just before 2 a.m. local time. The night sky above Caracas turning bright orange, massive flames engulfing the air. Those giant plumes of smoke seen from miles away. President Trump confirming the strikes and announcing the United States has captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Trump writing online, the United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Venezuela's defense minister, speaking from an unknown place, calling it the most criminal military aggression from the U.S. in the history of our country. The massive escalation coming after a significant U.S. military buildup in the region. The Pentagon striking more than 30 boats the U.S. alleges were involved in drug trafficking operations, at least 115 people killed since those strikes began on September 2nd. In a memo obtained by ABC News in October, the administration telling Congress that America is in armed conflict and that drug cartels are deemed unlawful combatants. President Maduro facing drug charges, including narco-terrorism conspiracy since Trump.
Another Arab unk, black-bagged and arrested. You know what I mean? Typical America.
Trump's first administration, after federal prosecutors alleged he deliberately used cocaine as a weapon. Back in 2020, U.S. officials telling Americans they plan to eventually gain custody of the Venezuelan leader. In recent days,
yeah, you'll see so much insanity from the editorial side of things. Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times. Washington Post using the kidnapping of a foreign head of state as a veiled threat against democratically elected leaders in this country. Washington Post editorial: for years, Maduro was a symbol of the false warmth of Latin American collectivism. Now he should spend the rest of his life alone in a humane American prison. His downfall is good news. This is the deputy opinion editor of the Washington Post. Okay, bringing up collectivism because Zoran Mamdani, democratically elected democratic socialist mayor of New York, Zoran Mamdani, said we must get the warm embrace of collectivism. We must bring about the warm embrace of collectivism. These people are just straight up fascists, brother. It's crazy. Straight up fucking fascists. What do you say? What do you do? Have some hopium, King.
On January 2nd, 2020.
Okay, that's crazy, but let's continue. Do you think he's bringing Maduro to New York to distract Mamdani from doing work as well? No, I don't think so.
More signs pointing to this latest attack. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced lethal aircraft carrier in the world, spotted on New Year's Day, seen in these satellite images, positioned closer to Venezuela's coast than it had ever been amidst the recent bout of tensions just some 200 miles away. And the FAA banning U.S. commercial flights in Venezuelan airspace for, quote, ongoing military activity ahead of the attack. Trump had warned that land strikes were imminent.
We'll start that on land, too. It's going to be starting on land pretty soon.
Saying in a recent interview with Politico that he wants to see Maduro gone.
So how far would you go to take Maduro out of office?
I don't want to say that,
But you want to see him out?
his days are numbered.
Can you rule out an American ground invasion?
I don't want to rule in or out. I don't talk about it.
For his part, Maduro had said just one day ago that he was open to talks with the U.S., and in a separate pre-taped interview released Thursday, described a recent call the two had. Saying, I think that conversation was even pleasant, but the events following the conversation haven't been pleasant. Let's hope. And so that would be the last time Maduro was seen on camera on Venezuelan soil. Now, as for what the U.S. does next, Republican Senator Mike Lee out of Utah sharing that he spoke with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He anticipates, according to Mike Lee, no further action in Venezuela now that Maduro is in U.S. custody and that he is expected to stand trial in the U.S. Just a stunning series.
A stunning series of developments here. And Matt, I think one of the big questions is, who is running the country now?
And we don't know. That's the simple answer to that question. We heard from Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, who came out and said she wasn't running the country officially, that she still believes Maduro is the rightful president. She's demanding the U.S. show them some kind of proof of life. There is a state of emergency that's been declared in the country, but the simple fact...
Wow, stunning. Stunning, extraordinary, incredible. Have you seen the celebrations across the world over Trump's actions in Venezuela? Oh, no, I have not. But oh my God, I'm so happy that everyone is so happy about this. This is, again, more self-soothing behavior from a lot of people who just can't. It comes from a place of recognizing that the actions that the Trump administration took are kind of fucked up. So they have to be like, well, this has got to be for somebody, right? So you just look for anyone that you can point to. You look for anyone that you can point to say oh, well, there's other people celebrating it around the world, right? It's got to be good, right? It's for somebody. You only say that if you can't argue on the virtues of this action on its own, right? Oh, people around the world are celebrating. Are they?
Fact is, these are very tense times in Venezuela right now, and for the people of Venezuela, we should be remembering them always. This is a very difficult time. They don't know, even if they weren't fans of Maduro, they don't know what's coming next.
And that is what we will be watching to see. Matt Rivers, our thanks to you.
Horror, a real degree of fear reflected.
James, I'm just going to interrupt you just to bring this image to our viewers, and you can hopefully see it as well. This has also just been posted on Truth Social on Donald Trump's timeline.
Me as a Venezuelan are very happy because today part of my pain and hate can heal. Maduro and Chavez separated mine and many families. All right, chatter. Excited for you. It's going to be awesome when Exxon and Chevron will separate your natural resources from doing any good for you and the existing family that live in Venezuela still. No, I don't. You guys need to understand. Sent from Israel, all this stuff. No. This is not all like Langley talking, okay? These are people who fucking hate Maduro, that have family members who hate Maduro, that live in Venezuela. There are a lot of people who despise Maduro. Okay, there are a lot of people who hated Chavez. There are a lot of people who despise Maduro. You won't really hear about them in the Western world because the people who actually, they're the people who love Chavez and to a much lesser degree thought Maduro was fine or good. Those people are oftentimes not the ones you're going to hear in Western media. They're not the people that actually moved to the United States of America and gained refugee status, right? This is how it always works. What I'm trying to communicate to those people that are coming in here to be like, no, this is actually good. Let me tell you why. Is that Trump is not even trying to make this seem like it's for you. Like Trump is quite literally saying, you are a rapist drug dealer that needs to be sent to CCOT. And you're over here being like, the guy who's saying me and my parents are rapist drug dealers that must immediately be sent to CCOT is actually a good guy who cares about me. Trump cares so little about you that he is, on the one hand, openly stating his actual desire, which is, I'm going to take all the oil, fuck you. While also simultaneously not even doing you the dignity of claiming that this is for you. Okay? I don't know why you're still imagining this alternative reality where you're like, no, this time is different than Libya, than Iraq, than numerous other places, right? This time it's going to be different. And also, the guy who's openly saying that people like myself are an ever-present danger to this country, you know, Trump invited me into, if I'm a Venezuelan and I got TPS, now he's using me as a talking point, and he's saying that I'm going to be forcibly removed from the country, but it's actually good. You know? It's actually good somehow. What gives you any indication that this is actually good or that Trump actually cares about your best interest? It doesn't make any sense.
And this is an image that he has simply captured Nicolas Maduro on board the...
Why are you in America if it's so bad? Because it's my home. I live here. And it has great promise. It has great potential. And I hope that one day we can at least change things around a little bit and do what's right by everyone, rather than whatever the fuck we're doing here.
USS Iwo Jima. And you can see there the Venezuelan president with glasses on, with head protections on, what looks to be some kind of safety jacket around him. It's not clear whether his hands are fastened together. I think
safety jacket is a Nike Tech.
I can see sort of cufflinks or something holding his hands together, a bottle of water in his hands. Quite incredible that one president is posting this image of another country's president.
Yeah, fascinating, isn't it? I wonder if that would be a bulletproof vest. Jane, bear in mind that many in Venezuela from the Maduro regime, they have been calling all morning for a proof of life photograph. So, I mean, we'd be expecting something like this to be published in due course. But in some ways, it will be a response to that. It looks proof of life.
You didn't blast off Mama Guebo? I did. I've been live for 2 hours now.
To me, certainly there is concealment around his eyes, but that will be him presumably on the American warship making his way in the company of his wife, although she's not seen here, towards New York and towards a New York courtroom. We're hearing that Monday might be the day for the arraignment on that one.
It's 9 a.m. on the East Coast, and if you're just joining us this morning, we have major breaking news. Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro has been captured by U.S. forces. President Trump confirming the large-scale U.S. military operation overnight.
Attorney General Pam Bondi confirming Maduro and his wife face drug and weapons charges in the U.S. And about 20 minutes ago, Vice President J.D. Vance revealing President Trump offered Maduro multiple off-ramps.
All this comes after explosions rocked the capital of Caracas and surrounding states early this morning. President Trump is expected to hold a news conference from Mar-a-Lago at 11 a.m. this morning. But first, he joins us now by phone.
Oh my God, he fucking called up This is where he said he's going to invade Mexico next, by the way. So was this a leak? Did someone around him turn him in? There's no way this administration were able to pull this off on their own, right? Yeah, I don't know. We'll get more details. I have my suspicions. I'm keeping him close to the chest, okay? But yeah, there's reasonable suspicion around some kind of deal being made. And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, you got no fucking anti-air defenses. Like, really? Really? You got like 30 attack helicopters flying over your capital? You got nothing. No man pads? Nothing. You don't got no homies on man pads. Like, fuck it. Let's say the S-300s are busted, okay? Let's say they blow them up. Motherfuckers in Iraq were taking out helicopters with bolt-action rifles, man. What are you talking about? A helicopter is basically begging to begin with. Helicopters already blow up when they're in distress on their own without any sort of, external factors. So that's the reason why I'm like, this is a strange situation. And by the way, I'm so consistent on this. A Black Hawk literally fell on the way to assassinating Osama bin Laden. Okay? Like that's how frequent these things blow up and kill Marines, Delta Force, all that shit. Okay? You can take down a helicopter by sneezing on it, and they often do fall in campaigns such as this one. So the very fact that they were able to just, fly into Caracas with nothing, with no pushback whatsoever. To me, it feels like maybe they got, I don't know. It feels like maybe they got a side deal or something. Who knows? Reuters reports that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro was captured in an operation involving U.S. Special Forces, including Delta Force, with assistance from the CIA source inside Maduro's inner circle, and cooperation from members of the Venezuelan military, according to U.S. officials and people briefed on the matter. A source close to Venezuela's opposition described the move as an inside job. Yeah, that's definitely believable. Oh, so now you're a military expert? No, I'm not. I'm far from it. But I don't think you need to be a military expert to know that, helicopters blow up all the time. You really don't need to be a military expert to know that, actually. It's just something that they do, especially if you're thinking like Ospreys. Oh my God. The fucking Marine Annihilator. New from the Post. Delta Force units established a pattern of life on Maduro in advance of the operation, mapping out his location and daily movements. According to a person familiar, a CIA covert operations unit identified where he and his wife were staying. The U.S. deployed 2 Army Delta Force units, one from the Middle East and one from North Africa in recent weeks, and those forces established a pattern of life on Maduro in advance of the operation, mapping out his location and daily movements. According to a person familiar with their deployment, Delta Force, known within the clandestine community as Combat Applications Group, is among the Pentagon's most elite units tasked with executing high-stakes and secretive missions, including hostage rescue and kill and capture missions. The Trump administration relied on elite Delta Force and CIA Covert Actions Unit for the operation to seize Nicolas Maduro in a highly secretive snatch-and-grab mission to force the Venezuelan leader from power, according to multiple people familiar with the deployments. The CIA identified the location where Maduro and his wife were, and Delta Force soldiers sent by President Donald Trump to the Caribbean and conducted the raid. The CIA also provided support to the air, sea, and land operations, according to 2 people familiar with the mission. Those CIA units, among the U.S. government's most secretive, specialize in irregular warfare and other covert action and have regularly worked with both the Army's Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 over the 2 decades of battling Islamist militants groups in the Middle East, South Asia, and Africa. This doesn't actually give us any more detail into whether or not this is an inside job, but I do think that it's something smells weird about it, considering there is no pushback, whatsoever. Yeah, a CIA source in Maduro's inner circle helped U.S. forces track his movements in his final days right up until his capture, according to 2 people familiar with the matter. The people who were briefed on the operation also said members of the Venezuelan military cooperated with the United States to secure Maduro's arrest, but declined to provide details. One person close to Venezuela's opposition, who asked not to be named, described Maduro's removal as an inside job aided by the country's military. Republican U.S. Senator Mike Lee said U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio had told him Maduro would stand trial on criminal charges in the United States and that no further action was anticipated inside of Venezuela. R.I.P. Charlie Kirk, he would have loved to see the fall of Vuvuzela. True. The Washington Post is also reporting that the CIA had a human source inside the Venezuelan government who provided real-time intelligence on Nicolas Maduro's movements and location. That intelligence accorded people familiar with the matter directly enabled the U.S. special operations that raid that captured Maduro and his wife. What did Maduro supposed to do exactly? What do you mean in this situation? I don't know. Not have fucking CIA assets in his immediate circle that was directly giving coordinates to the Delta Force that was, 100 miles off the coastline. Like, I don't know. It's kind of, you just kind of have to not get got like that. You know what I mean? What was he supposed to do? Get nukes. Get nukes. Get nukes. That's what he's supposed to do. And that is the same for basically everybody. Okay? If you are a sovereign nation, or you think you're a sovereign nation right now, but devoid of nukes, let's be real. If you're in the periphery, you need to develop nukes. It's just, if you don't have the nukes, you're going to get got every single time. Okay? And the reason why I say this is not because I want to, support my own HasanAbi doctrine, a guide for nation building. Rule 1, get nukes. Rule 2, do not give up the nukes. Rule 3, if you're accused of having nukes. Here's the reason why I'm saying that, because this is a piece from the interview that we're about to watch when, Donald Trump was flexing on the morning show. This is what he had to say about Mexico.
Must stop. So was this operation a message that you're sending to Mexico, to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president there?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct and be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people. And
Claudia Sheinbaum, please develop nukes now. Madam President, please get nukes immediately. Please. You're cooked. Get nukes now.
We lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't know. But they come in through the...
Lula, you need nukes. Brazil, if you want Lula Livre, you got to get the fucking nukes, man.
Southern border, and something's going to have to be done with
Canada, Cuba, everybody needs nukes.
Mexico.
Why did you...
Everybody get nuclear now. Everybody needs to get nuclear immediately. Immediately. Or else you're fucking cooked.
And let's get right to the President of the United States, Donald Trump. President Trump, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning.
So you've had quite a busy evening. Tell us about it.
It was slightly busy, I would say. It was very dark all over, especially in Venezuela. The team did an incredible job. They rehearsed and practiced like nobody's ever seen. And I was told by real
Open
military
presence, thank you
people
for the
that there's
25
no
get
other
the
country
subs.
on earth.
Once again, the Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. There are no ad breaks on the Piker Broadcasting Service, unlike many of the other Twitch streams that you watch on this platform. And because I don't run any ads, I don't even benefit from Twitch Turbo. So if you want to support the show, you can voluntarily subscribe for $6 a month with a regular Twitch subscription, or a free one in the form of a Twitch Prime, or gift a sub to others in the community as well. Piker Broadcasting Service is for viewers like you. Thank you. By viewers like you, and it is for viewers like you. Thank you.
That could do such a maneuver. If
Yes, Rewind is enabled for subscribers. That's true. And you can send links. You can send me links. You can rewind. And not only that, but you can also, I guess that's it. You can use emotes around the platform.
Would have seen what happened. I mean, I watched it literally like I was watching a television show. And if you would have seen the speed, the violence, you know, they say that, the speed, the violence, they use that term. It's it was an amazing thing.
Legal Heretic, thank you for the 20 gifted.
Job that these people did. Nobody else could have done anything like it.
You're at Mar-a-Lago right now. How were you able to watch this?
Well, we watched it from a room.
Seemingly on Twitter, actually. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's right. The Situation Room, photos came out of it, and they just had Twitter tabs open in the background. That's where we're at. Isn't that wonderful? They're just like us.
We had a room, and we watched it, and we watched every aspect of it. We were surrounded by lots of people, including generals, and they knew everything that was happening, and it was very
Yeah, White House is on OSINT Twitter. Zero OPSEC on OSINT Twitter. They're just fucking sitting around. Breaking. High-level sources in Venezuela tell Breakthrough News that Trump's press conference was an act of psychological warfare and to not believe a word about the leadership collaborating to turn over the country to White House control. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Complex, extremely complex, the whole maneuver, the landings, the number of aircraft, which were a massive number, the number of helicopters, a different type of helicopters, different type of fighter jets. We had a fighter jet for every possible situation. And they just broke in, and they broke into places that were not really able to be broke into, you know, with steel doors that were put there for just this reason. And they got taken out in a matter of seconds. I've never seen anything like it, actually.
And you were able to watch this in real time.
Yeah, and don't forget, I've done some pretty good ones in...
Yeah, bro, look at this. It just says Venezuela. They have 3 Twitter tabs open, and one of them just has the search bar, Venezuela. Okay? They were straight up looking at OSINT Twitter. Like, I was in bed doing the same thing that these fucking assholes were doing. Well, to be fair, it's fast as fuck to find on the ground stuff. We were looking at that classic Arma footage that they play always with like the tracers trying to take out one of the Warthog. And they were like, oh my God, I thought they didn't have any, air defenses. What's going on? Warthog, sorry. Shut up. Shut up. ESL, 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 ESL. The classic Arma footage that I'm talking about is always populated whenever something is happening, whenever breaking news is happening, and it's I'm sure you've seen it before. And they're looking at it and they're getting duped by it because that's what the CIA does. That's
in
what
other
the State
parts of
Department
the
does.
world.
The footage you fell for, I love that's my favorite meta where people were like, Hasan, remember when you fell for that footage? Which is literally me looking at it for 3 seconds and then instantly going, is this Arma footage or is this is fake, right? But they clipped it so that they're like, still to this day, they'll be like, remember when you fell for that? Remember when you fell for that? It's like, no, my job is when someone sends me shit, in the chat, I look at it and I try to make an assessment on whether or not it's real.
Okay, I've done some pretty good ones, but
yeah, I apologize for clicking on random linkers.
Never seen anything like this. I was able to watch it in real time, and I watched every aspect of it, and I listened to the communication between, where we were in Florida and out in the field in Venezuela. And it was amazing to see the professionalism, the quality of leadership, the professionalism. General Raisin Kane is fantastic. Don't forget, we did another one not so long ago. It was called the knocking out of the Iranian nuclear threat, the nuclear power. And that was unbelievable what they did there. And this is something that, I don't know, it's amazing. And to have a few injuries, but no death on our side is really amazing.
Mr. President, critics will say that strong action can risk escalation, but history has shown us that weakness can truly invite chaos. And this military operation clearly sends a message to our adversaries around the on Russia that we are no longer the weak administration that we had for 4 years under former President Biden, who tolerated narco-terrorism.
Like, think about this being a good reason to arrest a foreign leader, like kidnap a foreign leader. Oh, we felt kind of insecure. Sorry, we felt kind of insecure for a little bit when Joe Brandon was in charge, and so we had to flex a little bit, you know?
What is next for the United States and Venezuela?
Well, we're very strong, and very importantly, if you look at drugs through the oceans, through the seas, they're down 97%. That's the boats. It's sort of related to this, as you know. The drugs are way down, and it's getting very, very tough. It's a whole different look. We have a whole different country. We have a country now that's respected. We have a country. I built the military in my first term, and they gave a little chunk of it away, but it was a lot. But it was a little chunk relative to what we built. But they gave it to Afghanistan so stupidly. It was one of the. Compare this to Afghanistan, where we were a laughing stock all over the world. We're not a laughing stock anymore. No, we have the greatest military in the world by far. We have the greatest equipment, military equipment in the world by far. And you had to see this in real time. You had to see this, the professionalism and the bravery, everything about it. And you almost couldn't hold them back. It was like they wanted to go so badly. And most people would have said, I'll take a pass. I know that Charlie would have wanted to go because Charlie's a very brave person. But I know a lot of other people would have said, I think I'll pass on this one. Let's watch it on television. So it's been amazing to see how good they were, how professional they were, how incredible the equipment we have is. I mean, the level of equipment and to see how it worked so perfectly. And, you know, if you compare this to attacks on Iran over the years with, you know, helicopters crashing into each other, the whole thing was a mess. The Jimmy Carter situation, which was a mess, and every other situation compared to this, nobody's ever seen like this. Look, the Iranian attack, knocking out their nuclear power was big. We had peace in the Middle East.
Your haters are so fucking brain dead,
without
man.
that,
I mean,
you
who
could
cares?
never have peace in the Middle East. We knocked them out, and look what's happening now to Iran, but we knocked it out. That was, it could not have been better, and this could not have been better. I don't even know which is, these are both really important. If you think about equal and importance, I wonder how it's going to be rated, but knocking out the nuclear power of, think of it, they were ready, they were within 2 months, they would have been a nuclear power. And comparing that to this in a certain different way, I think this might have been actually more, that was something that was amazing.
It's interesting, Mr. President. We've looked, our own Lucas Tomlinson, our reporter here. I don't know if you knew this intentionally, but the capture of Maduro and his wife coincides with the 6th anniversary of your taking out the Iranian Revolutionary Guard's Qasem Soleimani. Interestingly, it's six years after. But let me ask you a question, Mr. President. Because
by the way, that was the third thing, and we have a fourth. We got Soleimani. We have taken out so many. Look at what we did to the leader of ISIS, who's no longer with us, right? And everybody was after for 20 years, and we got him. We've done a lot, but this was something, maybe because it's fresh in our minds, because again, the Iranian situation was so big, knocking that out, and the B-2 bomber, every single missile hit its target, and the target was an air shaft.
Right.
Dark at night. Think of that. Dark at night, no moon. You couldn't see a thing. And every missile went right through that air shaft and just obliterated the place.
He killed Soleimani on January 3rd, 2020. Didn't the American government also apprehend Noriega on January 3rd as well? What the fuck's up with January 3rd? Hold on. Are you making that up? Soleimani assassination date. Nope, it is January 3rd. Noriega arrest date. Oh my God. Oh my God. What the fuck? What the fuck, bro? What do the numbers mean? What do the numbers mean? That's 3 for 3. Manuel Noriega was arrested by U.S. forces on January 3rd, 1990. Soleimani was assassinated on January 3rd, 2020. Mason, what do the numbers mean?
So that was amazing. And this.
I wonder, Mr. President, though, I want to ask you because from your Vice President, J.D. Vance, said that the message is pretty clear. The drug trafficking must stop. So was this operation a message that you're sending to Mexico, to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president there?
Well, it wasn't meant to be, and we're very friendly with her. She's a good woman, but the cartels are running Mexico. She's not running Mexico. The cartels are running Mexico. And we could be politically correct.
It's the lowest risk day in all oil markets. All the balancing from end of the year is done. Okay, that actually kind of makes sense. I don't know if you made that up or not, but that does kind of, I don't know. I can't tell if you just like made that up on the spot, but since we're already being dumb, since we're already playing along with the fucking Illuminati symbolism of January 3rd, I'm just going to go ahead and say, yeah, that's the reason, and not like some Masonic shit.
I can be nice and say, oh, yes, she is. No, she's very, she's very frightened of the cartels. They're running Mexico. And I've asked her numerous times, would you like us to take out the cartels? No, Mr. President. No, please. So we have to do something because we lost. The real number is 300,000 people, in my opinion. They like to say 100,000. 100,000 is a lot of people, but the real number is 300,000 people, and we lost it to drugs, and they come in through the southern border, mostly the southern border. Plenty come in through Canada, too, by the way, in case you don't know.
Yeah. Hey, Canada. Hey, I'm looking right at you. Okay. Claudia, Mexico, looking right at you. Cuba, obviously cooked. Just wait. Just wait, dude. Hey, Canada, looking good, looking like you want to be annexed, I think. Looking tasty, like a tasty piece of meat that I will take. Why are you over there looking ready to be plundered, Canada?
But they come in through the southern border, and something's going to have to be done with Mexico.
Why did you decide to do this morning?
Are you talking about calling you people or the shot?
No, taking out
I'm not sure which is worse, if you want to know the truth. I'm calling you. I haven't spoken to anybody else because Charlie Hurd has been a great friend of mine for a long time. He was with me when it was not fashionable. And those are the people I like. He was with me, Charlie, when it was not at all fashionable. So that's the reason I'm doing this, and your show is great. You're doing a great job. What a good team.
But I meant, why did you make the decision?
I need you guys to understand something. This person that's currently talking is the quote-unquote the leader of the free world, which is fucking bullshit, obviously. The American president, the person who has control over our nuclear arsenal, the person that just signed off on the illegal arrest and kidnapping of a foreign nation's head of state. And now he's talking about how Charlie Hurd was on my side from the start. That's why I'm making this phone call. That's why. Fucking awesome. They're calling your doctrine Global Iron Dome. Every country on this planet that doesn't currently have nuclear weapons and would like to continue to be a country should probably get on that ASAP. Yep. HasanAbi doctrine, baby.
To take out Maduro this morning. And what was Maduro?
Like they're yucking it up. They're having this like funny conversation, this funny back and forth, right? Only moments after Donald Trump said that Mexico could get the smoke. Mexico also has cartels. They can also get the smoke.
Doing when our guys came in on him.
So we were going to do this 4 days ago, but the weather was not perfect. The weather has to be perfect. And we had just the perfect weather. We had, very good. A little bit few more clouds than we thought, but it was good. We waited 4 days. We were going to do this 4 days ago, 3 days ago, 2 days ago. And then all of a sudden it opened up and we said go. And I'll tell you, it was just amazing. And what was he doing? He was in a very highly guarded like a fortress, actually. He was in a fortress. You know, that we had nobody killed was amazing. I think we had nobody killed, I have to say, because a couple of guys were hit, but they came back and they're supposed to be in pretty good shape. But that we had nobody killed, that we lost no aircraft. You know, everything came back. We got it all back. One of them was hit pretty hard, but a helicopter, but we got it back. But it just was the right time to do it. We had to do it because it's a war. We're losing 300,000 people a year. We don't lose that much in a war, okay, if you look. And we had to do it. But he was in a house that was more like a fortress than a house. It had steel doors. It had what they call a safety space, where it's, you know, solid steel all around. He didn't get that space closed. He was trying to get into it, but he got bum rushed so fast that he didn't get into that. We were prepared. We had, you know, massive blowtorches and everything else that you need to get through that steel, but we didn't need it. He didn't make it to that area of the house.
Mr. President, your war on narco-terrorism from our southern border and beyond clearly will save American lives. Moving forward for Venezuela, what do you think is next for the Venezuelan people now that you have removed Maduro so that he can face American justice?
Well, we're making that decision now. We can't take a chance on letting somebody else run and just take over where he left or left off. So we're making that decision now. We'll be involved in it very much. And we want to do liberty for the people. We want to, you know, have a great relationship.
Hey, are we starting a war? So that's a good question, right? And that's a question on everybody's minds. And when I went to bed last night, I thought that was what was going on. And then I woke up and I found out that Maduro had been arrested or kidnapped, really. Let's call a spade a spade. And it led me to believe that maybe this is not a full-scale war. I don't know. We shall see. I think it's entirely dependent on how the Venezuelan population reacts. It's entirely dependent on what the deal that they put together looks like. So if there is, like, Trump saying we're at war is one thing, but he could simply be posturing and you know, favorite TV show, Charlie Hurd, right? Charlie Hurd is my good friend. I'm just going to give him some quotes. It's like, judging by what he said about Machado, I don't know. But in the photo shared by the Interior Ministry, people take to the streets to reject what authorities described as imperialist military aggression and to reaffirm that the president of Venezuela is Nicolas Maduro Moros. Damn, they got live views up in this. Look, they be using the same backpacks I'm using to do the live broadcast. Anyway, VP is not complying. VP is not complying with the United States. Venezuelan VP Delcy Rodriguez says there's only one president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. I mean, we'll see.
I think the people of Venezuela are very, very happy because they love the United States. You know, they were run by essentially a dictatorship or worse. It couldn't have been worse. It was a terrible thing that was taking place in Venezuela. But look, tremendous numbers of people were being killed through drugs. And what they did to our country in sending prisoners and people from mental institutions and drug lords and everything, they sent them by the hundreds of thousands of people into our country. And that is just
talking tough. Y'all would surrender instantly in the same position. Brother, I'm a Twitch streamer. I'm not the head of a state with command over, you know, a 30 million population and a fucking military. What good is any sort of anti-aircraft defense systems you have if you're not going to fucking use them on a bunch of helicopters that are flying over your goddamn nation's capital? Like, this isn't about like standing up to a playground bully. We're talking about nation states.
It's unforgivable. That's why, you know, he wanted to negotiate at the end, and I didn't want to negotiate. I said, nope, we got to do it. You know, he was trying to negotiate at the end. You probably saw that. And trying hard to make a deal. And I said, and, you know, this.
Macron, the Venezuelan people are today rid of Nicolas Maduro's dictatorship. People can only rejoice by seizing power and trampling on fundamental freedoms. Oh, God, I hate the indignity. God, European leaders are so disgusting. Oh, my God. They're even worse than the Democrats, dude. How can you be worse than the Democrats, brother? Oh, my God. Like, this is worse than Hakeem Jeffries. They're just outright meat riding. Oh my Lord, dude. The upcoming transition must be peaceful, democratic, and respectful of the will of the Venezuelan people. We wish that President Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia, elected in 2024, can swiftly ensure this transition. I'm currently exchanging with our partners in the region. France is fully mobilized and vigilant, including to ensure the safety of its nationals during these uncertain times. God damn. Bro, this is like you might as well put Trump's nutsack on your forehead, you know, every time you open your fucking mouth. Oh my God. Oh my God, this is so pathetic. Oh my God. Oh, gross. This was a fucking empire, dude. This had colonies. I mean, they still kind of have colonies. Not as much, but wow. Wow, dude, European statehood is a lie. Like every nation state in Europe is just so utterly servile, so openly falling over one another to demonstrate fealty. Wow, Keir Starmer is somehow worse. Oh no.
Have you spoken to Donald Trump about what's happened in Venezuela?
No, I haven't, and it's obviously a fast-moving situation. And we need to establish all the facts. What I can say is that the UK was not involved in any way in this operation. And as you'll expect, we're focusing on British nationals in Venezuela and working very closely with our embassy. And so I will want to talk to the president, I will want to talk to allies, but at the moment, I think we need to establish the facts. I think President Trump is doing a press conference later, so hopefully more information will come out then.
What is clear, though, which the White House has said, is that America carried out strikes on Venezuela and captured their leader, Maduro. Some politicians in this country have already condemned that. Do you?
Well, I want to establish the facts first. I want to speak to President Trump. I want to speak to allies. As I say, I can be absolutely clear that we were not involved in that. And as you know...
I'd like Daddy to tell me what to say first. Oh, I dare not speak out of turn. Daddy will fill me in with his delicious... I'm not going to say it, but you know what I mean. Daddy will fill me in with all the facts. And then I'll know what to say.
I always say and believe we should all uphold international law. But I think...
But international law, of course, means nothing when American superiority is... Of course... Who's going to stop them? You? Not me.
I think at this stage, fast-moving situation, let's establish the facts and take it from there.
And just lastly, for people who might have family there or the small number of Brits in Venezuela.
He said international law must always be called into question. First of all, not on Israel. Secondly, not whenever America does anything, which is, again, basically saying not on Israel. But there's something funnier. There's nothing funnier than just like having this response in perhaps one of the clearest violations of international law. So clear a violation that it actually directly puts him at harm's way, right? Because, like, think about it like this. Russia decides on Ukraine, there's too much British support taking place, okay? The previous established norms in global warfare is that if you're the head of a state, you're kind of protected, right? There is no, like, you know, they're not going to come after you. They're not going to kill you. They're not going to kidnap you. Now America has violated that. Okay, Russia is a regional power. The UK is supposed to be a regional power. The UK is supporting Ukraine. Russia decides Keir Starmer, it needs to be prosecuted and arrested for the illegal seizure of Russian assets. What do? Like, do we just sit around and we go, well, hold on. That's Russia. They've decided that Keir Starmer was in violation of Russian laws. We decided, or Russia decided, that Keir Starmer is actually directly violating Russian laws. They have every right to kidnap Keir Starmer. They have every right to put him through this, you know, mock trial, this sham trial, and then maybe potentially kill him, you know? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Russia has no power over the UK like the US has over what? Venus? You mean Venezuela? My point is these guys rely on the same shit never happening to them. That's why America gets to do whatever it wants. Might is right only works when there is no other big dog. Okay? Might is right all of a sudden is not going to be such a wonderful scenario if there is another mighty country out there.
Now, there are some there. It might be a small number, but of course people will be very concerned. What would their advice be?
Yeah, there's about 500 there in Venezuela.
Yeah, also, Russia doesn't have to, like, kidnap Keir Starmer. They got Novichok. They have sleeper cells. It's, you know, they assassinate people in Europe all the time. You know, don't drink the tea. Don't stand so close to the window, Keir Starmer type shit. You know what I mean? Would that be appropriate? Would we go, oh, we have to look at international law and follow international law in that situation? No, you would understand exactly what the fuck that is.
And we're working with the embassy to make sure that they are well looked after, safeguarded, and get appropriate advice. So we're working at pace with the embassy on that. It is a small number, but it's an important number. It is about 500, so that's what we're doing there.
Mer's running the same line. It's not surprising. Nicolas Maduro has led his country into ruin. The most recent election was rigged. Like many other countries, we have therefore not recognized the presidency. Maduro has played a problematic role in the region. The legal assessment of the U.S. intervention is complex and requires, dude, I swear to God, Euro-libs are, it's like shocking to see Euro-libs champion this stuff harder than like the American Democratic Party is. Like I never thought that I would see the day. He ain't a lib, Lamau. Everyone is a lib. Everyone is a liberal. Republicans are liberal. Everyone's a liberal. They just handed Taiwan and China on a silver platter. There's no argument against an invasion anymore. Come on, guys. Do you think hypocrisy matters here? Come on. I mean, we said this after Israel too. That shit doesn't matter. Oh, really? You think European leaders that are saying this about Maduro in defense of Donald Trump are not going to fucking turn around? Like, look at Ukraine versus Israel. Look at Ukraine versus Israel. They chirped and chirped and chirped endlessly about what Russia was doing in Ukraine. Okay. And then when Israel started doing worse shit in Gaza, they shut the fuck up real quick. As a matter of fact, they justified it. They prosecuted naysayers. Okay. So if you think that these guys are going to be like, well, I guess we can't really say anything about China doing any sort of military action, which, by the way, again, is still a hypothetical at this moment, right? But like, if you think they're not going to, you know, make a big fuss about that, and every single fucking liberal, both in Europe and in America, is going to turn around and make it seem as though that is a totally righteous position, like as though we haven't heard them defend Israel, as though we haven't heard them defend Trump's actions in this regard. If you think that they're not going to, act as though they hadn't said all those other previous things, you're silly. You're silly. I don't agree with bombing or seizing of oil or taking control of them. The one thing I agree with is that Maduro needed to be removed. He stole an election he lawfully lost and put his people through hell. I know Trump most likely didn't do this for moral reasons, but it's still the one positive of this whole ordeal. Yes, dude, we're actually kidnapping people that we're suspecting of like having sham elections. Any day now, Recep Tayyip Erdogan is going to get arrested and apprehended. I don't know if you know this, but America is aligned with basically every dictatorship. And ironically enough, America has actually installed dictatorships in Latin America, not so far away from Venezuela. Okay? Nobody gives a fuck about whether or not, like, this does not play a role in the calculus. Okay? It's not a part of the calculation at all. I don't know if the elections were valid or not. Who gives a shit? What are you talking about? That's not the reason why they're doing this. You already recognize that it's directly a consequence of extracting oil. Imagine thinking Iraq was a positive because a bad guy left power. Wake up, dumb fuck chatter. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I don't like Gaddafi. I'm glad that, this happened. Okay, look at Libya now. Oh, I don't like Saddam Hussein. Are you defending Saddam Hussein? Look at what happened. Look at what happened in Iraq. It's crazy. Trump was repeatedly lying here, probably for psychological effect. The Russia story was fake too. VP Rodriguez is speaking now, and she keeps referring to Maduro as the president. She's demanding the immediate release of Maduro and Cilia Flores. Rodriguez mentions that Maduro left instructions that if anything happened to him, the people should take to the streets, and all the popular power should be activated in their places to defend the national independence and sovereignty, which was savagely attacked today. Yeah, the situation is confusing to me. I don't really understand it. General Kane is talking about how amazing the operation was. I'm mostly tuning it out because he does mention that he used over 150 aircraft for the kidnapping operation. Kane, there were multiple self-defense engagements during the withdrawal from Caracas. Incredible way of rephrasing this attack on a sovereign country. Yeah, they put themselves, our soldiers tactically put themselves in a kinetic engagement in a self-defense style situation on fucking foreign soil in a nation's capital. Self-defense? The fuck do you mean self-defense? You kidnapped the leader of a foreign nation. What are you talking about? Self-fucking-defense. Trump, we are going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure. It's going to be paid by the oil companies, and they will be reimbursed for what they're doing. Again, openly admitting it. Trump, we are not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to. We had boots on the ground last night. We had to make sure this country is run properly. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We are going to run the country right. Trump on Gustavo Petro, he's making cocaine and they're sending it to the United States. He has to watch his ass. Okay. Trump, we are going to be selling large amounts of Venezuelan oil to other countries. You can't stop talking about how they're straight up taking over Venezuela. Trump keeps claiming that Delcy Rodriguez was sworn in as president of Venezuela and that she's in contact with Rubio. Haven't seen this reported yet. Trump, Cuba is going to be something that we are going to end up talking about. Cuba is a failing nation. Rubio steps up. Cuba is a disaster. If I lived in Havana, I'd be concerned. And the press conference was concluded. It's pretty crazy because it's basically everything we said, like everything I've been saying in the buildup to this incident about like what the real reasons are as to why the administration is doing this. It's kind of an interesting predicament because back in the day, I had to duke it out with liberals a lot when I would be like, Venezuela is not about democracy. Venezuela, if I were to say like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, this kind of situation is not about democracy. It's about, stealing the resources, specifically oil, but gold as well. And like all this shit, liberals would argue seriously about how like, no, you're wrong. It's not about that. It's actually about democracy, all this stuff. And what's crazy is when you, nowadays it's just the Trump administration is openly stating it. We're doing it specifically for oil. They're just giving the game away. We're doing regime change for oil. We're doing regime change for oil. They say it over and over again. And yet, seemingly, there are still pliant people or people that are manipulating themselves, I guess, that want to believe in an alternative goal here, an alternative ambition here, that still make it seem as though there is a separate reason for why this is happening. And that reason, as a matter of fact, is not oil, it's just democracy. Yeah, there's also this from Wall Street Journal. Wall Street is already at the ready post Nicolas Maduro captured by the U.S. forces. About 20 business leaders. What did he know? Posted before the strikes.
Okay, as a Venezuelan American, I got some shit to say. My family, my parents, my sister, my extended family, all lost everything. Their work, their savings, their investments, gone. Wiped out by a narco dictatorship that has held Venezuela.
Dude, what are you saying, dude? What the fuck are you showing me? God damn it. Oh my God. Oh my God, dude. Oh no. What did he know? Venezuela was already invaded? Yeah, he's saying Maduro is invading Venezuela. So Trump actually fucking blowing up fishing boats and potentially blowing up Caracas is good. Anyway, about 20 business leaders, including those from the managers, are preparing to go on a March trip to Venezuela to look at investment opportunities there, including energy and infrastructure. Awesome. It's like they're just giving it out for free. It's such a strange world to live in, where for years and years, people like myself, anti-imperialists with my worldview, with my position, had to go through this weird song and dance where we had to like literally explain to people like, guys, they're lying to you when they try to create a just cause for why they're doing this sort of engagement. They're lying to you. The real goal is plunder. The real goal is plunder. Okay? What? Hasan, you are 10 million% right, but I don't think it makes your takes any less right to listen to Venezuelans for a second. I am talking not about the best interest of Venezuelans. I'm talking about American intervention, okay? If you want to have a conversation about that, you can go somewhere else. I'm an American citizen. It's my tax dollars. I'm selfish. I'm an American fucking patriot. How about that for standpoint theory? Okay? Ain't nobody gives a fuck about the Venezuelans. This is my point. Donald Trump is not sitting around talking about how he's liberating Venezuelans. He's literally saying he's liberating the fucking wallets, the government of Venezuela's coffers from the burden of having to do the resource extraction and actually sell it on their own. Shut the fuck up. It's so crazy, bro. You got motherfuckers doing propaganda for the administration when the administration is not doing the propaganda. Every day, Donald Trump literally goes, every Venezuelan on U.S. soil is a rapist, drug seller, a drug salesman, okay? The CEO of doing rape and drugs. We must deport every Venezuelan expat. Every Venezuelan refugee on American soil is a rapist, drug-dealing, baby decapitating monster that will inevitably find their way into fucking CCOT, okay? He goes on Fox, and that's what he says on the phone every fucking morning. And then he turns around and says, also, I am going to rape the land of Venezuela. I'm going to pillage it. I'm going to rape and pillage. I'm going to rape and pillage. I love the oil. I want to shove the oil up my ass. I can't live without the fucking heavy crude of Venezuela. It's beautiful oil, and it's mine now. And there are still fucking morons in the chat being like, excuse me, can you take a deep breath and cover the perspective of Venezuelans who are delivering a fucking deep sigh of relief? I don't care. And neither does Trump. Nobody fucking cares. Shut the fuck up. God damn. What is this fucking argument, dude? It's so stupid. It's the same shit with Iraq. It's the same shit with Libya. It's the same shit with Syria. It's the same shit over and over again. This time it'll be different. Why don't you listen to the people that are saying they're doing a deep sigh of relief? Why don't you listen to the people that actually love what Donald Trump did? I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck, okay? I don't care. I don't care what your perspective is. If you're going to tell me that, like, this time the narcissistic pedophile that is trying to extract as many super profits for his pedophilic elite is actually doing a good thing in this circumstance, even though all the previous narcissistic pedophiles that were doing the exact same shit were actually doing it in the wrong way, but this time it's actually good. I'm sorry. I'm going to treat you like the fucking moron that you actually are. Okay? Sucks to suck. What the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And I know there's going to be hella fucking clips off of this. Oh my God, there's going to be so many motherfuckers who are like, excuse me, I know that America obviously wants to destabilize an entire region as it has done historically under the Monroe Doctrine that they're relitigating at this very moment. But have you considered what my personal perspective is? I didn't like Maduro, and it's actually awesome that it will be an American puppet, okay? It'll be awesome that it's an American puppet that actually leads the country inevitably that will rape and pillage the land. It's going to be good. Meanwhile, Trump is not even fucking saying that. That's the funniest part. Trump is not even, he literally just keeps saying, I'm doing this for oil. I'm doing this for plunder. I'm doing this for plunder and oil. I'm doing this for oil and nothing but oil, 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 oil. And still there's motherfuckers in the chat being like, well, hold on. The question I have is this. Why are you doing propaganda for Donald Trump in a way where he's not even doing propaganda? Okay? Like, it makes no sense. You're arguing a position that the Trump administration is not even taking. Like, they dropped it. They didn't even felt the need to even say those words, and you're still like, nope.
As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure.
It just doesn't make sense. Like, if you are even in any way, shape, or form, remotely like a liberal person or invested in like human rights or whatever, why in the ever-loving fuck would you be like, yeah, this psychopath is actually doing this for this? I'm going to imagine an alternative reality where this psychopath is openly stating what his desires are, but I'm going to assume he's actually doing this to liberate me. Right after he called me a rapist drug dealer who needs to be sent to a fucking slave labor colony in El Salvador. Like, at that point, if you still can't understand that this isn't for you, okay, then I guess, have fun in CCOT, all right? Like, what do you want me to say? I'll still fight to make sure you don't go there. I'll be on the streets, but good luck, I guess. It's so wild. It's such a wild situation.
Oil infrastructure and start making money for the country. And we are...
Yeah. As always, a liberal is someone who opposes every war except the current one and supports all civil rights movements except the one that's going on right now. Please read my question. No.
Very foolish thing if it didn't work out, but I said, nope, we can't do it. What he did was...
It still benefits them. Are they supposed to be sad? No, you're right. No, it's going to be so beneficial. Dude, it's a higher level. It's a higher level of copium than even like the dumb American hogs that think this is good for them. Okay. Because if we're doing Cope Olympics here, right? On the one hand, you have the right-wing hogs, right? The MAGA hogs that are like, America first, America first, America first. And they're coping thinking like, oh, well, Donald Trump's a peace president. He's doing peace through strength. And it's actually good for me that he's kidnapped Maduro. Right. And he's like stealing Venezuelan resources. The reason why they think that is because they're weak. They know that nothing is good, but at least America can still project power. It's like team sports for them. Right. But if you're Venezuelan on top of that, you're even doubly fucked because there isn't even anything you can point to. There isn't even anything you can point to here that is remotely salvageable. You don't get state repression from Maduro, but instead you get state repression from whoever comes next. Okay. And on top of that, the resources are no longer being, the resources are no longer funding government programs, but instead you have that wonderful foreign capital control instead, where you have no autonomy whatsoever. It's ridiculous. All the while, international law is completely done. It's over. I mean, it's been over, but yeah, they will welcome us as liberators. Look, the armed people come out in defense of the government of the President Nicolas Maduro kidnapped in the early morning by the current government of the United States. I mean, there's gonna be fucking pro Maduro people that show up. There's gonna be anti Maduro people that are celebrating. It's a fucking massive country. Maduro is not exactly super popular. Okay. And of course, as is the case, there's always going to be a diversity of opinion. People who want to defend the ridiculous kidnapping that took place here will say, oh, well, at least like some of the Venezuelan people are happy. They're celebrating. And the people that want to defend Maduro or are against the intervention will say, no, people are actually very upset. It's just not good for anybody is my point. It's not good for the Venezuelans. It will never be good for the Venezuelans. It's not good for the Americans, the American population. It's good. It's good for Chevron. It's good for Halliburton. It's good for Shell. It's good for British Petroleum. It's just not good for you. It's good for Lockheed Martin, right? But you won't see any of that. You won't see any of that. You won't see any of the profits. You won't see a return on that. And you really didn't have a say in it anyway. That's the other thing. It's not like you had a say in this, right? Did you? I didn't. All polls showed 70% of Americans actually did not want intervention in Venezuela. 70% of Americans. Now, those numbers will change now that the intervention took place. You're wrong. Okay. I guess I'm wrong then.
What he did with a lot of other things is bad, but what he did was sending hundreds of thousands of Tren de Aragua and drug dealers, and they emptied out their jails into our country. They emptied out, if you think about it, they emptied out all of their mental institutions.
There would be people defending it if a foreign nation came and removed Trump. It doesn't mean it's good for it to happen that way. Okay. You think if Russia did that, people would be celebrating it? You think if China did that, people would be celebrating it? Yeah, liberals hate Donald Trump, but liberals also hate China. You think, like, what are we talking about? That's not how anything works. I mean, this is a idiotic hypothetical anyway. America is the world's greatest superpower. If you think that your fellow Americans would sit there and go, hell yeah, this is awesome, you're delusional. And there is much more reason to, and I mean this sincerely, there is far more reason to do this to any American leader, really, than any other country's leadership, given how much power and control America has around the world.
Into our country. What he did there, and every other thing, is unforgivable.
Mr. President, you're already getting reaction from members of Congress on both sides. One Democrat, Jim McGovern, is saying that you did not get authorization from Congress. And he says Trump just launched an unjustified illegal strike on Venezuela. Wanted to get your reaction to that.
Well, look, these are weak, stupid people.
Yeah, when we see Xi Jinping kidnap the Japanese prime minister, then we can talk. Yeah, it's not even like forceful reunification with Taiwan. The comparison here, not even Japan, because Japan is appropriate because it's like proximity wise, it's like similar, I guess. But yeah, Xi Jinping kidnaps the fucking. Xi Jinping comes out and says, "Hey, just so you guys know, the Japanese prime minister has actually violated our rules that we came up with. So we flew over there and we actually kidnapped the Japanese prime minister, and now we're going to hold him accountable." How do you think the world would approach that? How do you think that would look? Yeah, it's good for the Japanese, by the way. The Japanese will welcome us as liberators. I'm low-key hoping she kidnaps Carney. Okay, dude.
And they're trying to save themselves from almost destroying our country. If I didn't get elected, our country would not. I don't even think we'd have a country right now. We were heading down the path of destruction.
If you want to find an even closer comparison, Philippines. Okay, incredible amounts of misinformation. Son of a former dictator, right? Bad leadership in general. Kidnapping the fucking leader of the Philippines. Sorry, he's doing crimes. We have decided to kidnap him. How does that work?
We had high prices. They're the ones that caused high prices, not us. We're bringing the prices way down. We have oil now in many places $1.99 a gallon. And, you know, when you do oil, everything follows, but everything is following. But, no, they would have destroyed our country. If we didn't get elected, if Kamala or a Joe type got elected, if that group got elected, but if Kamala got elected, I don't think at this point we would even have a country. We were laughed at all over the world.
Yeah, Eric Levitz is right. In my day, critics denounced U.S. wars of choice as imperialist schemes to seize foreign oil, while the president insisted they were really attempts to spread democracy. Now, critics denounce such wars as attempts to spread democracy, while the president insists they are really imperialist schemes to seize foreign oil. No, literally. That's what I'm experiencing right now, and it blows my fucking mind. And Eric Levitz is a liberal. Like, he's not... Like, Eric Levitz is not exactly an avowed anti-imperialist by any means, but it's become this fascinating phenomenon to observe if you are even remotely intelligent and you watch these people defend the Trump administration on boundaries that the Trump administration is not defending itself, and you just imagine that this is the case. Like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand, silly leftist. Trump is doing this for democracy. There's definitely a democratic purpose here at play. Okay, if there is one, Trump certainly is not saying it.
The money was flowing out. Everybody was leaving. The companies were leaving. The people were leaving. The wealth was leaving. We have $18 trillion coming back into our country, the biggest number in the history of the world. The second biggest number was $3 trillion. We're at $18 trillion, and it's building factories and plants. It's doing things that no country has ever seen before. But as far as last night is concerned, it was really genius. What they did is genius. And the Democrats, maybe they'll take a shot. You know, they'll take a shot. All they do is complain. They don't talk about, they should say, you know what, we did a great job. We're stopping drugs from coming into this country. And nobody's been able to do it until we came along. But they should say, great job. They shouldn't say, oh, gee, maybe it's not constitutional. You know, the same old stuff that we've been hearing for years and years and years. They did an incredible job. These men and women that went out there last night, the courage they had, going into an area where, you know, all the lights were turned on. We turned off almost all of the lights in Caracas.
Yeah. I can think of a few better use of my tax dollars than blackbagging the head of a foreign narco trafficking organization that enriches itself by addicting and poisoning my fellow Americans. Yeah. The Republican Party is no longer the party of regime change and endless wars. If you want to be a standard bearer, that is a non-negotiable position. Okay. You know what's not a fucking endless war? Nuking every country on the planet that doesn't submit to American wishes. I should not have said that out loud. I just realized that I just said that out loud, and now it's the new American foreign policy position. I fucked up. I should not have said the American foreign policy position now is we just nuke you if you don't submit. Isn't this a good thing for us? I like the sound of no more drugs. Yeah, I like the sound of that too, except the Trump administration is not even going along with they're selling us drugs shit, ironically enough. Okay? That was already bullshit. That was bullshit. There was no, trafficking hub. That's not it. And Trump is basically saying it's actually the oil anyway. Chuck Schumer finally gets around to commenting on Venezuela, saying the administration has assured me 3 separate times that it was not pursuing regime change or taking military action in Venezuela. Oh no. Oh no. No, not Chuck. You fell for it again? Oh, come on. And for the record, if you believe that Chuck is being sincere here when he says, "Oh shucks, I got duped again," you are the bigger dupe. Okay? He loves this shit. Straight up, he loves it. Today, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer released the following statement after President Trump launched military action against Venezuela without congressional authorization in his announcement that he plans for the U.S. to run Venezuela. Let me be clear, Nicolas Maduro is an illegitimate dictator, but launching military action without congressional authorization and without a credible plan for what comes next is reckless. He's like, bro, why won't you let me in on it? I want a piece. He's like, come on. I just wanted a piece of the action, and you wouldn't even let me in on it. The administration has assured me 3 separate times that it was not pursuing regime change or taking military action in Venezuela. Clearly, they are not being straight with Americans. He's mad that he couldn't put a Calci bed in. He's like, why won't the administration tell me ahead of time that they're going to do this stuff? I was going to put a poly market bed in, and it's really fucked up that you didn't do that. The idea that Trump plans to now run Venezuela should strike fear in the hearts of all Americans. The American people have seen this before and paid the devastating price. Yeah, we were the ones who suffered from our endless occupation of Iraq. I mean, it's true, we did, but like also at the same time, I feel like there was some other people suffering there too, but who knows? What do I know? The fuck do I know? Also, Chuck Schumer supported the Iraq war, didn't he? And he's kind of supporting Venezuela too. So what are we talking about? Hey, last time I supported this exact same thing that's going on, but in the Middle East, that was really bad. And this time, it's also not very good, but I'm still kind of supporting it. The administration must brief Congress immediately on its objectives and its plan to prevent a humanitarian and geopolitical disaster that plunges us into another endless war, or one that trades one corrupt dictator for another. To distract from skyrocketing costs Americans face in the historic cover-up of the Epstein files, Donald Trump is attempting to throw Americans into more international chaos and uncertainty. Oh, yeah, here. People did make big bets and won big, okay? Some war-related insider trading. A brand new account in Polymarket only invested in the U.S., going to war with Venezuela and Maduro out by January 31st. Up 13K so far. Was spending thousands on Maduro out at bargain prices as recently as 4 hours ago. Now it's at 50 cents or 0.50. This account, Burdensome Mix, has existed for only 1 week and quickly became the biggest yes holder in the Maduro out market. Seems pretty suspicious. Pete Hegseth making some beer money on the side? ? Now that Maduro is at 0.99 following the Trump announcement, this account has in 1 week realized nearly $150,000 in profit and has hundreds of thousands more in unrealized profits. Great. Thanks for reminding me that I need to bet on the Seahawks game. Okay, guys, the point here is not that you should go and also fucking gamble.
I mean, this thing was so organized. and they go into a dark space with machine guns facing them all over the place. And then you hear from a guy that I'd never even heard of him, but you hear from some congressman saying, oh, this is so terrible. We're saving lives. And by the way, the boats, every boat, because that's sort of related to this, every boat that we hit saves 25,000 lives.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get any hosannas or thanks from certain Democrats in Congress, that's for sure. But one of the things, you've already obviously cracked down on these drug boats. You've also cracked down on these illegal oil shipments coming out of Venezuela. The countries that negotiate with Venezuela for those are already starting to suffer. What do you see as the future of Venezuela's oil industry?
Well, I see that we're going to be very strongly involved in it. That's all. I mean, what can I say? We have the greatest oil companies in the world, the biggest, the greatest, and we're going to be very much involved in it. We can't do something like this, and we're prepared. We were prepared to do a second wave. We were all set, and this was so lethal, this was so powerful that we didn't have to, but we're prepared.
We're so collectively desensitized the U.S. empire that we're not even registering the absurdity. The U.S., a country where guns are sold at Walmart, has just kidnapped the president of a sovereign nation and head of army to charge him with possession of machine guns with the intent to distribute to a fake cartel that doesn't exist, that we invented whole cloth. Like, that's how you know the enshittification has already completely calcified in the American administrations, because the Cartel de la Rosas thing, or Cartel of the Suns shit, was one of those attempts in I think the early 2000s that they just shelved, right? Because sometimes the American State Department will come up with fake reasons whenever they want to justify intervention, right? Yeah, Cartel de los Soles, not Roses, my bad. And that was a fake justification, which doesn't even fucking exist. A Spanish law professor and author spent several years trying to track down evidence of Cartel de los Soles' existence and its connection to the Venezuelan government. This was his conclusion in 2020. The Trump administration, the DEA, the Department of Justice, and the intelligence services are the architects of the myth of the Cartel of the Suns. In fact, they are the main and only source that feeds this myth by leaking information from anonymous sources without verification. At the same time, they are the main actor of political destabilization of Venezuela with their unrestricted support of the self-proclaimed interim president and encouraging all kinds of adventurers, including terrorist invasions. If the unfolding events is not stopped, it could lead to devastating consequences for the region. Let's hope that this piece accomplishes the generation of a serious debate about the non-existent existence of the Cartel of the Suns, and that the organizations, media institutions, and people directly identified in this study as biased and not very rigorous will respond, offering arguments and evidence that prove them right, and that I, in the best case scenario, am wrong, or in the worst, am a mental moron. However, I have a sense that the aforementioned will respond, as always, with silence, hiding in the fact that they possess the hegemonic media and therefore have dominion over the truth, which exempts them from giving any kind of reason to my allegations. In fact, replying to me would mean exposing themselves, and that would blur the halo of truth in which they disguise themselves, and which is nothing more than an outright lie. This is the American version of, or the previous relitigation of the WMDs, but not even they didn't even go as hard defending this bullshit this time around. Yeah, now is a good time to remember that the Cartel de los Soles doesn't exist, and it isn't even being determined by the U.S. government's own assessment, that Maduro has nothing to do with Nicaragua. The charges are bullshit, and that's why they had to add machine gun. It's pretty crazy. And it's also very funny, I guess, not that it matters, but it is very funny to see all of these guys who were like, yeah, base, Donald Trump is going to be the peace president, turn around and be like, actually, this was awesome. Isn't this so sick? Aren't the libtards malding? Because that's happening. Because for a lot of these people, they have no real goals or anything like that. In the next few hours, all your mutuals and pages you follow will turn into geopolitics experts, historians, and journalists all at once. I like that he's saying this, but he's doing that as well. Glenn tweet, I'm sure you know which. One reason all leaders love wars. Yeah, this guy fucking sucks. But, nailing Glenn on this is perfectly valid. One reason all leaders love war so much is that it unites the population behind them. From Dem Party, from AOC to Manchin, fully supports Biden's war policy. Also does the pro-war GOP wing of Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham. The only candidates opposed are Trump, RFK, and Vivek. Yeah, Donald the Dove, Hillary the Hawk. That was in 2016. That's what's so stupid about this entire process is that, like, none of this shit matters. Like, so many right-wingers were like, oh, I love that Donald Trump is a peaceful dove. He's no new wars. He's awesome. He's the peace president. He's awesome. He's the peace president. Only to now turn around and be like, actually, it turns out war is awesome. It turns out this is perfectly fine. We love that. Yeah, maybe you just like Donald Trump, man. I don't know. And I hate this shit because, like, for me, this is very frustrating. This isn't war. This is terrorism. I mean, it's war and terrorism. Okay? It's both. And also, one can say all war is terrorism. But you need to remember something. This was a big part of the reason why I was so fucking critical of Kamala Harris, who presented a narrative that she would be actually more militant. Okay? This is why I lost my mind when she went on stage at the DNC and said, we're going to have the most lethal military. So if you're wondering how a lot of these guys were duped so aggressively, okay, a lot of these guys were so duped. How could they have been so duped? Well, you played a role in it. The Democrats played a role in it. Yeah, this is the other type of cope. Yep, the Iraq war was famously over when we got Saddam. Me and my buddies fought in a 20-year war because Bush and Obama didn't get done in 4 terms. What Trump just got done in 4 hours. I voted for this.
Venezuela plummeted from one of the richest countries in the Americas to a total pariah state in just a couple.
You can't say Kamala would be the same as Trump on this one. After she glazed Cheney, she'd at least play into the democracy and not the oil. Oh, for sure. For sure. The propaganda would be better. For sure. If liberals were responsible for this, they would be really hitting the lines like girl boss Maria Machado wants to liberate Venezuela. They'd be propping up every like Venezuelan expat on U.S. soil celebrating, you know, Maduro getting arrested, all this shit, you know?
Couple of decades. Hyperinflation, starvation, millions fleeing, all because Chavez and Maduro imposed radical socialism, seizing industries and crushing freedom in the warm embrace of collectivism. But today...
Damn, they're so triggered about the warm embrace of collectivism line. They all... Oh my God, they keep referencing the Zoran warm embrace of collectivism line over and over again. Dude, you can't be this much of a fucking anti-communist, brother. I don't understand. Like, who is this for? The USSR is dissolved. Like, it's 2026. Capitalism is fucking you, and you're recognizing it to a certain degree, and yet you still are like, you know what's the problem, though? Imagine if this was communism. Like, what is happening?
January 3rd, 2026, justice has finally come. President Trump ordered a precise professional operation. Nicolas Maduro and his wife were arrested by U.S. personnel and are now headed to America to stand trial on serious charges, narco-terrorism, flooding our streets with deadly drugs, and more. No endless war. No unnecessary American bloodshed. A clean arrest of an indicted dictator. Trump could have killed this man in his sleep, but instead, he's giving Maduro a fair trial, something Maduro never granted his opponents who were jailed, tortured, or killed.
Okay, let's keep it real. I think it's one of the most consistent L's for Venezuela that they didn't do that, actually. Look, listen, repression of protesters, absolutely. A lot of that took place, especially under Maduro. But if we're being fucking real, even under Chavez and even under Maduro as well, they did not properly take care of political dissidents. Okay? That's it. You had to have seized the entirety of the Chamber of Commerce, the first coup. After the first coup was implemented, you should have taken over every single asset that the Chamber of Commerce in Venezuela owned and put it under the control, the stewardship of the state. And you had to have arrested every single collaborator with the CIA. Major L for Venezuela, kept consistently suffering from the repercussions.
13.3 says, for rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad.
And before people get mad about this shit, before people get mad about what I'm saying here, if you think that there was a serious plot, a real coup that took place in the United States of America, led by an active foreign nation, a foreign adversary, not like the Russiagate shit. I'm talking straight up. Actually, you know what? Russiagate is a good analog here. Look at what happened when Russia kind of put their finger on the scales a little bit in terms of pumping up a fucking leader. And then the opposition party didn't even fucking prosecute or arrest the people that ended up doing January 6th. Okay? The actual leaders, not the random people that were doing the January 6th shit. Okay? But the actual leaders, the actual politicians that played a role in January 6th. That's what happens. That's what fucking happens when you don't prosecute people, when you don't punish people for fucking around. We have it. His name is Donald Trump. He's the president right now. Hasan wants to be a communist so bad, but would never sacrifice his earnings to get it. He will just keep preaching it and doing nothing and taking donations while being a millionaire. Yeah, except the real counter argument that you're supposed to present here is that communism is when one guy has all the power and all the money and everyone else is suffering. And that's precisely what I'm doing right now, right? Like I'm the communist dictator already. That's a much better way to if you're going to make a stupid counter argument, you might as well go full stupid. You don't have to go half measure stupid. So I'm full communist already. Are you seeing Mr. Base takes on the strike? No, I don't know what that is. Who's Mr. Base?
For far too long, Nicolas Maduro was a terror to good conduct, destroying lives in Venezuela and helping kill hundreds of thousands of Americans through the fentanyl and drugs his regime enabled. Today, a righteous authority stepped in and removed that evil without starting another war. And just as Proverbs...
Donald Trump literally is like, we did it for oil, and also it is a war. This guy's like, no, listen. This is righteous authority. This is righteous indignation. This is Donald Trump not doing a war, but instead, like, what authority, brother? What do you mean? You can't just like decide someone is a fucking criminal and violate all norms and all international law. Like, what the fuck?
Verse 29:2 declares, when the righteous thrive, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. The Venezuelan people groaned for years under wicked rule. Now, go check social media.
Wait, is this I don't even know if this is a real live stream. I think there's an old video. Did this guy go through all the different copies of old videos? All the different copies would be like, see, they're
everywhere of Venezuelans leaning out of their windows, cheering in the streets, USA, USA, pure rejoicing in the streets, pure rejoicing in their homes, and even among the diaspora. Liberals are melting down, of course, but where was their outrage over hundreds of thousands of Americans who lost their lives to fentanyl from Maduro's regime? Or the millions of Venezuelans.
Fentanyl from Maduro's regime. Where, like, no, the government has not even offered an iota of fake evidence even, okay? They didn't even do the WMD shit with fentanyl, okay? They didn't even do that. Like, they just said, yeah, I think they have fentanyl coming from Venezuela, maybe. Like, how can you be so ready to swallow the boot whole and regurgitate talking points that the government is not even fully invested in? I meant, did you see Asman's take on this? Oh, Asman is Mr. Based. No, I didn't, but let me guess. Yeah, we're back, boys. America is back. Yeah, peace through strength. Yeah. I mean, Asman Gold's take is basically this exact same take, I suspect, as is the take from every single fucking right-winger, with a couple base in there for, for extra seasoning. He can't stop talking about Asman. Did you not see? I have not brought Asman Gold up one time. That chatter said, have you seen Mr. Base takes? I said, who's Mr. Base? He said, Asman Gold. And I replied to him, calm down, okay? You were here. You were here. You saw this take place. You saw this back and forth happen in real time. I finally baited you. You did. Take an hour off. Anyway, add it to the comp. Yeah, add it to the comp. By the way, yes, this guy showed an old clip. Posters of President Nicolas Maduro being torn down across Venezuela. This is an old video from 2024. Every right-winger in this situation cannot just like rest on the laurels of this action. So they have to actually imagine or invent a liberal that's being owned, a figure that's being owned. Okay? That's it. Because they can't just like, because deep down inside, I think they also understand that this is not really going to make their lives better. It's the same reason why when asked, a lot of Trump supporters will openly admit like, yeah, things are not too great about the economy right now, but they're going to get better, right? And that's basically an admission that things are not great right now, okay? You're just admitting it. And I think many people also recognize that. Many right-wingers also recognize that. So they have to just like hold on to anything they can to feel better about themselves. Oh, I've imagined that we've like dominated an enemy. Why do I think this guy's an enemy of mine? I don't know, because someone told me so, right? They really cut their Somali fraud story short with this kidnapping. I would have waited a month. This is such a clown take. A successful regime change in Venezuela would be amazing for both countries. This is such a clown take. A successful regime change in Iraq would be great for both countries. This is such a clown take. A successful regime change in Libya would be great for both countries. This is such a clown take. Successful regime change in Syria would be great for both countries. This is such a clown take. Successful regime change would be great for both countries in Chile. This is such a... I love that the comparison is Panama. Japan? Do you cope harder, my man? This is such a clown take. Successful regime change would be great for both countries in Vietnam. This is such a clown take. Successful change would be great for both countries in Afghanistan. This is such a clown take. Hey, notice how I have a million examples and you said Japan. Notice how I gave you virtually every single example post World War II and you said Japan. We nuked Japan. We wrote their constitution. And when they were doing too good, we shut off their economy. And it worked. Yes, he used the suicide country that's killing itself with its anti-immigrant policies currently as the example of a country that's doing all right. Also, Japan's leaders stayed the same, like literally the same people. Also, yeah, we didn't even do much change. Also, Panama, the only one that you could point to, okay, the only one that you can point to as a comparison that is like, I guess, successful was literally a CIA asset to begin with. So that's it. The only example that you can use is again, not exactly great, but was already a fucking CIA asset. So no, I don't think there are many good examples. I know he's a lib, but I can tell the chat is a lot younger on average because people in here just aren't aware of the historical events of the last few decades. The Franco chat has people who actually remember Iraq, whereas this chat is unaware there's been a precedent set for this sort of nonsense. No, I think it's because we have a lot of hogs. None of your takes matter because the Venezuelan people have spoken. This is going to be the line, huh? We're just going to have to consistently bring up images of the Saddam statue being toppled over and over again until people kind of understand. It is pretty funny. It's not even the Venezuelan diasporoids, right? But it is funny that the Venezuelan diasporoids who are saying that this is objectively a good thing are basically 5 minutes away from being deported to CCOT. And they're like, no, you don't understand. This is really good, actually. Okay, well, have fun at fucking CCOT, I guess. I don't know. Trump is calling you a rapist drug dealer and a decapitator of children. So, and is using you as a pawn. What makes you think you're safe on U.S. soil with this administration that has not even remotely entertained your humanity?
We're out there with an armada like nobody's ever seen before, and we're prepared, and frankly, probably thought we were going to have to do it, but we were prepared for a second wave going in.
Mr. President, sorry, Nicole, can I just follow up on one thing, and that was when part of Vice President Vance's tweet about an hour ago said that you offered several off-ramps to Maduro that he didn't take. What did those off-ramps look like?
Political citing sources. Trump administration recently contacted American oil companies that the Venezuelan regime seized their assets decades ago, and they ask oil companies to invest heavily in Venezuela if they want compensation for their seized assets. It's going to be really funny when we just have to subsidize the oil companies even further for even entertaining the high profit margin crude oil extraction that they will engage in Venezuela, that they will not be selling to the American market. Of course, they're going to continue selling it to China, Canada, and many other places. But it's going to be great when we subsidize them for stealing Venezuelan oil at a much higher profit margin. It's great. Every single thing that the American government engages in is just a fucking scheme to line up the coffers of CEOs and the big shareholders. Okay. It's great. It's awesome. But no, it's fine. It'll trickle down to you one day. Okay. No, I promise.
Like.
Well, basically, I said.
So that's leverage against China then? The world runs on oil. Come on, don't do this anarchist oil bad grift. Wait, what? Yeah, it is leverage against China. I know that. I recognize that. Continuously sell. Trump will continue to sell oil at bargain bin prices to China as the good lapdog that he is. What an interesting analysis that I don't even disagree with. I'm asking you, dumb fuck, how does this help you? Okay? America posturing aggressively against the largest manufacturing hub on the planet. How does that help you? Explain to me how, right now, that is going to immediately improve your material conditions. Right now, consistently saber rattling against our largest trade partner. How does this benefit you, chatter? Please enlighten us. Oh, it's great. We're decoupling Venezuela from China. It's going to be awesome, actually. Go ahead. Explain to me how this helps anyone but elites. This is the point. A lot of people refuse to recognize, like a lot of Americans think that they're hyper individualistic, right? And in some respects, they are. But what they don't realize is they've been duped so aggressively by propaganda that they don't even realize that this shit doesn't even benefit them. Like half the time when the American government is engaging in this kind of action, it doesn't even help them at all. It tells China that they have to respect U.S. interest, trickle down isn't real, but industrial benefits helps everyone. What industrial benefits are you getting? What industrial benefits are you getting? What industrial benefits did you get from American companies actually taking out oil from Iraq? What were the industrial benefits of plunder in that regard? What industry do we even have? You are going to work your gig economy slave labor job and you're going to shut the fuck up. And you're going to watch YouTubers on the side that tell you that it's actually good that America is doing this stuff. Okay? You're going to eat the bug. You're going to rent for the rest of your life and you're going to fucking enjoy it. And you're going to continue deluding yourself into thinking that these sorts of actions are actually beneficial for you because we're all part of one big team. China is on the opposing side. They're anti-America. We're pro-America. We're on one big team. And you're going to keep eating the bugs, and the bugs are going to get shittier and shittier, and you're going to enjoy it. More cheap oil, leveraging. Yeah, I already described it. It's not cheap oil for you, dumb fuck. Okay? It's not helping you. Unless you are literally the CEO of a fucking oil company or like a major shareholder in a oil company, that cheap oil is not going to make its way to the American markets. That cheap oil is actually going to be sold elsewhere. Okay? That cheap oil is not going to cheapen your oil. And cheap oil does not make every product cheaper. If that was the case, we would already have cheaper products right now. Donald Trump fixed the oil prices. No? Did it make anything else cheaper? Gas at the gas pump is cheaper. Did that make the groceries cheaper? No. So what the fuck are you talking about? We're already living through this process. Corporate consolidation has already set in. It doesn't matter. The prices of other commodities are not pegged to the fucking oil and gas industry in the way that people presented, okay? Holy fuck, this dumbass is like paying triple the premium prices for healthcare that is not even going to end up saving his life when push comes to shove because the healthcare companies are so further deregulated at this point that they can get away with just denying you care of coverage that you paid for. And you're over here thinking, nah, actually everything is going to be cheaper eventually. Not today, but maybe tomorrow, okay? Less immigration crisis if they make a stable government Venezuelans don't have to run from. Oh my God! I didn't even read the second part. More cheap oil, leverage against China for better deals for companies based there. Fucking, I don't even know what you mean by this. Okay? Better, no. Chatter. The NatSec argument is totally separate from this, okay? You are inventing stuff because I put you on the spot. This is not the correct argument. The real argument is this. America needs to be the hegemonic superpower in order to continue dominating the planet. And China is making significant gains in its One Belt, One Road initiative. And China is actually gaining a serious foothold. China also controls the extraction, basically, the damn near entirety of the extraction. And certainly the more expensive and more difficult part of the process, refinement of rare earth minerals. Rare earth minerals are necessary for all commodity production, specifically in national defense. Okay, so any kind of leverage point against China that shuts off their access to energy or cheap, affordable energy before they are able to permanently move into the renewable space is a good thing. So that if they ever actually turn around and try to hit the nuclear option and say, oh, if you want rare metals, you can't actually receive those rare metals because we just stopped you from receiving said rare metals, we can turn around and say, okay, well, you don't get oil then, or you get oil at a much higher price point. That is the actual NatSec argument. You fucking moron. You don't even know the actual appropriate arguments to make. You're just fucking fantasizing about dumb shit because you got put on the spot and you went, oh, the leverage against China for better deals for companies based there. What the fuck does that even mean? All the companies that are based in fucking China are already half owned by the goddamn government, with the exception of Tesla. What are you talking about? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to make the argument for you so I can fucking steelman it first and then destroy it? What the fuck is this? It's also not cheap oil. It's on. Venezuela has heavy crude. I know. It's expensive to refine. There's no infrastructure in Venezuela to extract this oil, so it'd be expensive to set up. No, but we refineries in the United States of America, in the West Coast, we have the refineries to extract and also refine the heavy crude that comes out of Venezuela. Okay? Well, thank you for a better argument. Yes, I'm on the spot. Okay, but you don't understand. If you're on the spot and you just made up a stupid fucking argument that doesn't even make any sense, then one must ask the question, what is the motivating principle? Why am I so readily available to defend America when it actually doesn't even defend my best interest? Because my goal here is to explain to you that the American NatSec argument, or any number of different arguments that they fucking present, is actually stupid. It actually doesn't benefit you at all. And it's all a game of resource extraction so that the super wealthy can continue fucking driving up imperial super profits. That's all this is for. And they're doing it, and they're not even hiding that they're doing it. They're openly stating it. So much so that even Matt Iglesias, a dumbass, had to come out with the dumbest statement of all time. Trump's whole foreign policy approach feels to me like a guy who read some bad leftist takes about how Western prosperity is all downstream of violent imperial exploitation and decided to use that as a playbook for growth. Yeah, I wonder why it comes across like that, Matty Iglesias. Perhaps because that is the fucking truth. And Trump, unlike his predecessors, is not shy about saying the truth, saying exactly why he's doing these things. But of course, leave it to Matty boy over here to somehow make this about the left again. Yeah, it must have been imperialism, the final stage of capitalism, that is the reason why Trump actually arrived at this conclusion, and not because he just looked at the situation and realized, yeah, why can't we just steal this shit and openly say it? Why would it be more likely that Trump was influenced by leftist takes about history of violent imperial exploitation rather than by history itself? The idea that the right has to get ideas like, what if we take resources from other countries by force from leftist takes is so absurd that you'd have to be seriously deranged to think it. Anyway. Law, I like Hasan, but I just think it's objectively good to remove Maduro and stabilize Venezuela. Brother, there is no stabilization of Venezuela that is coming. This is the problem. And I gave you a million examples of how that stabilization never comes after American intervention, specifically violent American intervention. And you just chose to say, lol, cope. Or maybe that was another chatter I was responding to. What are you looking for? Yeah, it's outside. Kapının dışında, dış kapının dışında. That's it. So you have to ask yourself why you're engaging in the cope, okay? Not me. You have to ask yourself why you are personally engaging in this cope.